Hmm. Mm-hmm. Better, betcha, betcha. What's shaking, gentlemen? How y'all doing this evening? Bro, fuck, man, the Netherlands literally just lost to the Sand People in Morocco. Can't freaking believe it, honestly. So whack. The whackness. Uh, hmm. Bet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yo, what's up, Arceus? Yeah, Nick's fixing to be live here any second. He just sent out his message. Um, yeah, sorry I came on so late. I'm getting some stuff ready for this for streaming this week. Like I'm gonna I'm be taking calls. Uh, I'm getting a call line set up, so I'll be able to take questions and take take calls. There'll be a queue for it and stuff. Pretty excited about that. Not gonna lie. That and a couple of other things too. Actually, pretty psyched. I mean, the calls. Oh yeah, also I got my Discord server kind of situated. Uh, I was I thought I had got it all set up before, but I guess not from what I was seeing. Yeah, Nick, he'll be live any second. He already sent out his message. I'm just letting y'all in on the news. Well, first of all, Netherlands just got beat by Morocco. And you know something? Maybe they should just choose real Dutch people for their team next time instead of throwing a bunch of low IQ sub-Saharan types on their team. Maybe that's why they lost at the end. Maybe that's why they couldn't close it. Had like so many PKs and they choked. Bunch of bunch of low IQ savages. Morocco got down on their knees, banging their head on the field after they won, bro. Literally praying to Allah on the field. Like, bro, how you gonna let those guys beat you, man? You're like a top 5 team. Morocco's a top 10 team, but still, bro. And Germany got beat by Paraguay. Germany, like one of the best soccer teams ever. Like, well, as a country, best soccer teams ever. Just totally got beat by pretty much a mouse fart South American team. Anyway, yeah, like I was just saying, when I start doing I could start taking calls. Uh, First of all, you can do that on Rumble, and I put that in the chat so you guys see that thing. But nobody has ever mentioned it. People mention the call in, like when are you gonna do call ins? And like I could do them, but nobody uses Rumble. Like I could take calls right this second. It's all set up and everything on Rumble, Rumble Studio. But it is what it is. I'm probably not going to use Rumble Studio. I'm probably going to use something else. Maybe like Discord because I got my server all set up. But I'll either use Discord or maybe like StreamYard or something. But they have a thing. They have a queue where everybody they get set up in the queue and you take calls one after another. It's very cool, very cool, and quite a sleek UI, sleek system for it. Kind of looking forward to that. But yeah, I was kind of I didn't do a pre-show because I was kind of getting details and final touches right on the Discord server. And also for was looking in how else I could do it. What other here we go. Nick's going live now. America first. I'm gonna start doing them this week, so hell yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try and add a bunch, as much as I can. There's a lot of room to grow. I do pretty much the bare bones kind of a stream, so all of it is just gonna be icing on the cake, going forward. Hello, tablet. Also, yeah, I didn't realize, but they have an integration for YouTube on Discord. So if you're a member on my YouTube channel, you're a member on my Discord.
Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas.
I'm going to refresh it right quick.
On Monday, we have a lot to talk about tonight. Lots to get into. Big show. A lot of things happened this weekend. Last week was pretty slow. This week is going to be pretty exciting, I think. And our featured story tonight, we're going to be talking all about the situation in the Strait of Hormuz and the entire memorandum of understanding. Looks like the whole thing is finished. How long did that take? I think it literally took 1 week for the entire program to unravel. As you might remember, 2 weeks ago, we covered the announcement and agreement between the U.S. and Iran on this memorandum of understanding, the purpose of which was to create and extend a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, which would then open up the Strait of Hormuz and eventually lead to nuclear negotiations that would address the root causes of the conflict in the Middle East. This was announced a couple weeks ago, and it was the result of months of negotiations. It's not even a finished deal. It's not even the final peace agreement. It's not a done deal. The way that I said it is that this was a formalization of the tentative ceasefire that we already had. There was a ceasefire, you may remember, from April, and although it had been violated, it did allow some shipping through the Strait, and for the most part, there was a cessation of hostilities between the U.S. and Iran. And after months and months of negotiations, finally they produced this document, which was supposed to advance the diplomacy and negotiations to another stage, but literally within the week, it has now completely fallen apart. And the big development from this weekend is that the ceasefire has effectively been broken. Iran is shooting at commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and now the volume of shipping has been drastically reduced through the Strait. So Iran has violated its part. Strait of Hormuz is now effectively closed. They're firing on ships again. The volume is about a fifth of what it was at its peak a week ago. And in response to this, the United States has resumed its attacks on Iran's southern coast and the positions from which Iran is launching these drones and missiles at the shipping. So there's no longer an open strait, and there's no longer a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Additionally, Israel has been launching attacks in Lebanon basically without ceasing from the very beginning. So even though last week there was supposed to be a big negotiation between Lebanon and Israel, mediated by the United States to end the conflict there, it is still raging on even to this day. So we will talk about the fate of the MOU. As it stands right now, it looks like not only will it not advance to that second phase of nuclear negotiations, that doesn't even seem to be in the cards, but the existing issues that the MOU was supposed to address, it seems there is no more agreement on any of those, if there ever was. So we're going to get into that. We'll talk through it, and we'll see where that's going to go. We're also going to talk tonight about the Supreme Court, which delivered 2 major rulings last week, which support the administration's discretion in deporting and preventing foreign nationals from entering the United States. There was one ruling on the Temporary Protected Status Program, and this ruling will allow the Trump administration to terminate TPS for Syrians and Haitians of which there are 270,000 of them living in the country under this program. And so now the administration, if it so chose, will be able to physically remove them from the country. And in a secondary ruling, it allows the administration to prevent asylum seekers from entering the United States. We are now allowed by our own government to turn away potential asylum seekers before they set foot inside the United States.
Week,
if they're on the Mexican side of the border seeking asylum, we actually don't have to take them. We don't have to process their claim. However, if they cross over into America, if they set foot on the soil, they cross the threshold, we still got to process their asylum claim. So we'll talk about it. Still, two pretty significant victories on immigration. However, the big decision is expected tomorrow, and that is on birthright citizenship. And although there's been no leak about that decision, it's not looking good. People are pointing out that when the Roe versus Wade decision came down, the Capitol Police had installed barricades outside the Supreme Court because they anticipated riots and protests. Tomorrow, there's a decision that could potentially cause millions of people to be deported at the sole discretion of President Trump, and yet there's no barricades, no fencing. Surely, if the Supreme Court made a decision that millions are subject to deportation, there would be protests, there would be riots, and there would be barricades. So some people are pointing this out, saying this is an indication that the decision is not going to go our way. But we'll most likely talk about that tomorrow or later in the week. Tonight, we're just going to talk about the TPS and asylum decisions. But it's going to be a pretty good show. Before we get into the news, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. Check out our merch store at Fuentes.store. And if you would like to support the show, subscribe at AmericaFirst.plus. $15 a month, you get access to the archive. $100 a month, you get access to my exclusive group chat on Telegram, where I'm hanging out with everybody. I was in voice chat this weekend for 6 hours. I popped in the group chat while I was in Florida and was just hanging out. People were asking me questions. We were talking about some deep lore, talking about Sneeko, a lot of different political topics. We really got into a lot of different things. So if you want experiences like this, you got to get in the group chat, voice chat with me, hang out with me, ask me questions, anything. AmericaFirst.plus, but only for the $100 a month subscribers. Okay, with that out of the way, we're going to dive in. So I haven't actually done a show in a minute. I was out in Miami this weekend to do Fresh and Fit with Myron. No Fresh! I don't know. I don't think Fresh wants to be on the camera with me. That's okay. I like Fresh now. Turns out Fresh is actually a cool guy. I thought he was not cool because some asshole told me that. But that idiot was wrong. Fresh is actually a cool dude. So we were hanging out a little bit, but he wasn't on the show. I did Fresh and Fit with Myron, and I did his stream. I got to be honest. The panel, little disappointing.
Awful.
I did the show with all the girls, and they were all chopped as fuck.
From Orlando.
What's that all about? I fly all the way out to Miami. We do the show with the girls. I show up. I look around the room. There isn't one attractive female. They're all chopped, and most of them were drunk. All chopped, mostly drunk. And we couldn't even do the show because they wouldn't shut up. We couldn't even have a conversation. Not like it was even worth it. They were all retarded, no good characters. Some of them were blackout drunk, and they were all ugly. And none of them were black. So what is even the point? What am I even there for? Here I am thinking I'm going to go on the show. Sophie Rain betrayed our race. So maybe I'll find a black girl that I can go with. Maybe I'll find, who knows, something. Nothing. No luck. They wouldn't shut up. I saw the girls they rolled out for woman propaganda for Hayden. Hayden went on the show, and they had some actually attractive girls. Each one more attractive than the last. I go on the show, And what do I get? Nothing. I get shit. And I know that's not nice. You know, the black girl, she was kind of cute, actually.
I know which one he's talking about.
That was it, though. End of list. End of list. Each one more ugly and ridiculous than the last.
Every one of them from Orlando.
So that's okay. It was cool hanging out with Myron, but we got to get a redo. We need a mulligan on the girl stream. It was painful. I had the headphones on, and they were screaming. I had a migraine by the end of it. I just wanted to leave. I was like, this is crazy. So anyway, but we did it. I was out there in Miami, did a podcast with Tyson Hockley as well. Went pretty well. I always try to put the young guys on. I always try to put them on a little bit. I always try to help the young buck. And it was a pretty good show. I think there's some good clips. So it's also important because he's one of these guys that's considering becoming Muslim. So I had to reach out and try to put a stop to that. I'm so sick of the fucking Muslim stuff. I can't even begin to tell you.
Me too. Morocco
let me just say something real quick. The Muslims have completely overstayed their welcome. There was a time a couple of years ago when we and the Muslims were kind of pointing in the same direction because we were both opposed to what Israel was doing in Gaza for different reasons. There was a time 1 year ago, 2 years ago, when the Muslims and the white nationalists were kind of coming together because we both opposed Israel. But they have totally overplayed their hand, totally overstayed their welcome. And so there was a time when they were criticizing Israel with us. Now all they do is push their bullshit religion and defend grooming gangs, doing apologetics for grooming gangs. And saying, if you have a problem with grooming gangs, if you have a problem with these towelheads in your country, well, you're a Zionist. If you don't want your country to be invaded by violent Muslims raping everybody, oh, well, you're a Zionist. That's what Israel wants you to believe. And it's like, you know what? Forget it with these people. I don't think so. Now they're complaining about that movie. There's this movie that came out with Armie Hammer, Cannibal, W. There's this movie that comes out where Armie Hammer, call me by your name, Cannibal, W's in the chat. Armie Hammer is going around killing all these Muslims for raping kids. And the Muslims are like, this is Jewish propaganda. I'm like, careful. Careful with what you say, because if that's Jewish propaganda, then it's Kino. So be careful. It's just a reminder, we are Christians. This is a Christian civilization. This is Western civilization. I'll even tolerate some of the veneration of the European gods. Not in a serious religious way, but when Spengler talks about Apollonian civilization and we talk about some of our roots in Greek philosophy and Greek mythology, Roman mythology, okay. From a literary point of view, I'll tolerate that, and Christendom, but this Islam thing, it's got to stop. And you know who's promoting it the most? Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson has these people on to glaze Islam. Enough already. Enough with this. It is a false religion. It is a different civilization. I don't want to hear it anymore. It's enough already. I do not want our civilization to be dominated by Jewish oligarchs. I also don't want it to be invaded by Muslim rapists. You can believe both things at once. We can morally walk and chew gum at the same time. Don't be a moral idiot, to borrow a phrase. We can hold both of those positions actually at the same time. No, I don't want Jewish oligarchs running America. I also don't want Muslim rapists invading Europe and America. And I don't actually want to hear either of them. I don't want to hear Jews speaking in Hebrew, and I don't want to hear Muslims speaking in Arabic. I don't want to hear Jews going on and on about the Torah and all that other nonsense, rapping tefillin and, and doing all that. I also don't want to hear the Muslim call to prayer and the Bismillah, Alhamdulillah. Shut the fuck up. America, this is America. Get that out of here. It's bad enough we have to hear all the Spanish. That's bad enough.
At least it's European, though.
I am just becoming radicalized because we have been trying it. We have been trying to be a little bit tolerant here on the radical right. And what happens is you give these people an inch, they take a mile, all of them. Whether it's the Jews, you see what happens with Jews. You give Jews an inch, they take a mile. You say, well, maybe we don't destroy Israel. They say, we need to destroy Iran. You give Muslims an inch, you say, we shouldn't destroy Gaza. They say, Islam will dominate the world. No Hindus, no Muslims, no Sikhs, no Jews, none of it. No Africans. Shut it down. I want to go back. I want to go back. Whites, Christians, that's what we want to hear about. Excuse me. Now, these other groups, look, if you want to be discreet and private and you want to go and do your thing, hey, knock yourself out. But the problem is these people all want to assert. They want to build their giant Hindu statues. They want to wrap a fishing line around the neighborhood and declare that the greater temple of Israel. They want to blast their ridiculous song in the city streets and pray in Times Square. It's enough already. And I'm really calling on white people, return to the Catholic Church, not only because it's true, especially because it's true, but also because this is the religion of our civilization. We have to take up arms, not just in a material way, but also in a spiritual way. I like seeing Marian processions. I like seeing a Eucharistic procession. I like seeing these things. Not only because it's God's presence in America, this is God's country, this is Christ's country, but also because it's taking up space as Roman European civilization. Because the Roman Church is the crown jewel of European civilization. It's Rome. So we need a little bit more of that. We need to take up space as Christians, as Europeans. We can't let ourselves be pushed around by all these other people. Tucker Carlson is like a cuck for Islam. It's disgusting. He's taking it way too far. It's now just becoming rank third worldism. That's all that is. Him with this endless glazing of these liberals like Jeffrey Sachs and Russians like Victor Bout and Muslims and their apologists in America. It's just becoming third worldism. He's glazing George Galloway in the UK and Maduro. Fuck you. Fuck those plutocrat socialists in the Caribbean that resist our domination. Fuck those third worldist self-hating whites and these globalist Jews like Jeffrey Sachs and these Russians that promote division. I'm American and I'm Christian. I don't want to hear all this other nonsense. It's a disgrace that we feel like we have to endlessly pander to all these foreign religions, foreigners, foreign ideologies, foreign governments. We don't need any of it. We have our own God. We have our own civilization. We have our own country. We have our own identity. We don't need all that. Tucker endlessly, Qatar has this great, they're tolerant of Christians. Dude, they're an Islamic theocracy. Wake up. And in the same breath, he'll say there's nothing wrong with Israel. Oh, Israel's not my enemy. It's like, well, they're my enemy. So no, bro. Stop glazing Russia. Stop glazing Qatar. Stop glazing Israel. All these other countries, India, and the rest of them. It's got to stop. So anyway, I don't know if you guys feel similarly, but I feel homeless now. I feel unhoused. Sorry, what's politically correct? I feel that's such like a boomer. Holy. That was just like my first real boomer moment. Oh, what's political? Now these guys are saying the unhoused. Can you believe that? Do you need a safe space? So you're going to say the unhoused? That's what they're saying, though. That's what the streets are saying. I feel politically unhoused, because to be Israel critical, you now get lumped in with these third worldist slime like Sneeko and Tucker and the rest of them. They're visiting Russia. They're visiting Indonesia. They're simping for George Galloway, endlessly praising Islam. Enough already. Enough. We have to be the right wing. Anyway, I want to move on. I was going to talk a little bit about Matt Nuclear. I think we'll save that for tomorrow. Because I do want to get into the news tonight. We have some really big news stories. Our featured story is all about the memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran. The big news and development from this weekend is that it looks like it's over. It's over. There have been many developments since we last spoke about this last week. I'll give you some background very briefly. As you know, the war between the U.S. and Iran was supposed to have been over. 2 weeks ago, we reached a memorandum of understanding with Iran. It contained 14 points. It was signed not last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before that. And what it laid out in this deal, which was passed with all this pomp and ceremony, is 1, the Strait of Hormuz would open. 2, there would be a ceasefire on all fronts in the conflict in Lebanon and in the Strait. And 3, this would open up a 60-day negotiating period for the U.S. and Iran to work out a nuclear deal. Now, it's important to understand what this really is. This is not a final peace deal. A peace deal is probably going to have to be ratified by the Congress, by Iran's legislature. It might have to be endorsed by the UN Security Council and General Assembly. It is going to contain provisions that address the root causes of the conflict, which have actually not even been discussed yet. And those root causes are the sanctions regime and Iran's nuclear program. So what this ceasefire really is a more formal truce. And like I've been saying, ever since the MOU was announced, we have had a truce. The war started on February 28th, and it was nonstop U.S. airstrikes, Israeli airstrikes, Emirati airstrikes against Iran, and Iranian missile and drone attacks against the Gulf countries, U.S. bases, Israel, northern Iraq, Jordan, and elsewhere. Now, on April 8th, most of that fighting stopped. We had a ceasefire. We had a very informal truce. There wasn't a written agreement. It wasn't signed. There were no specifics, no details. On April 8th, we came to a very informal, unofficial understanding with Iran, and it went something like this, very similar to the MOU. It said the Strait of Hormuz will open, there'll be a ceasefire on all fronts, and there'll be a 2-week negotiating period. But unlike the MOU, it wasn't written down, it wasn't signed, it was just this unofficial truce. Now that truce broke down in exactly the same way this one did. A day after that truce was announced, Iran and Pakistan declared that Lebanon would be a part of the ceasefire. Israel and the United States disagreed. The war in Lebanon actually intensified. Iran said we were in violation of the deal. They closed the Strait. And in spite of the agreement, there were no nuclear negotiations, and the U.S. and some of the other countries have continued to attack Iran. So we have this unofficial, unwritten, informal agreement, open the Strait, end the fighting, talk about nukes, and it mostly fell apart. And so this is where the MOU came in. And the MOU came in as a written, more formal, more official version of what we already had. And it basically laid out the same core provisions as the first one. Open up the Strait, ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon, and this time a 2-month negotiating period on sanctions and the nuclear program. That was the MOU that we got 2 weeks ago. In exactly the same fashion, literally, excuse me. Let me take a sip of water real quick. In exactly the same fashion as the original truce, Iran came out 2 weeks ago and said, we don't have an agreement unless there's a ceasefire in Lebanon. Israel intensified and escalated the fighting in Lebanon. Consequently, Iran moved to close the Strait, In doing so, they agitated the United States, who began bombing Iran, and then Iran called off the nuclear negotiations. This is precisely what has played out over the past 2 weeks. Now, the big development last week concerns the Strait of Hormuz. Where we were last week is that there was a big negotiation over Lebanon. The United States and Israel were working out a deal where Israel would implement some form of a ceasefire with Hezbollah in Lebanon. It wasn't going very well. In the meantime, there was an alternative route of passage that was opened up in the Strait of Hormuz by the country of Oman. Strait of Hormuz is bordered by 2 countries, Iran in the north, Oman in the south. As Iran began opening up the Strait of Hormuz in furtherance of the agreement, Iran said that every ship that transited the strait would have to receive permission from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps in order to move through without being attacked. Now, understand that what was contentious about opening up the Strait of Hormuz was the central question: when the strait opens, will it be managed, controlled, and tolled by Iran? Will they receive ownership over it and then have the exclusive right to charge money for ships that want to move through the strait? Or are ships going to be able to move freely through the strait like they had before the war started? That was the central question. And it was not actually clear in the MOU what was going to happen. All it said is that Iran and Oman would work out some kind of a regime where Iran and Oman would jointly manage the strait. But the language is very ambiguous. It doesn't talk about ownership. It doesn't talk about rights. It doesn't talk about whether they can charge money. It really leaves it to Iran and Oman to work this out with consultation from the other Gulf countries. But it appeared that Iran was moving effectively to annex the strait because they had unilaterally declared any ship that goes through is going to need permission. Now, the pretext for this is that Iran said that the IRGC would have to demine, remove the sea-based mines they had planted in the strait, and so commercial ships would need to coordinate with the IRGC so that they could safely move through the strait, and that the strait would open gradually over time as Iran implemented this, as they removed the mines, as they worked out how this would operate in the future. But in the meantime, Oman opened up a separate route which hugs their coast in the south. And contrary to Iran, Oman was allowing commercial shipping to move freely through this lane of passage. Iran said, you need our permission to go through the ordinary route that we control, which hugs our coast. Oman said, you don't need permission from us. You don't need permission from Iran. You can move freely through this alternative route. This was a provocation against Iran. And so actually, a lot of the shipping that had been moving through the strait and this resumption of the ordinary volume of traffic was coming from this alternative route from Oman. And obviously, Rubio and the Gulf countries were pushing very strongly for this. They want the strait open, not under the control of Iran. And so on Thursday, Iran began attacking commercial shipping that was moving through this alternative route. Iran effectively said the strait is open, but only under our control. If you don't get permission to move through the strait, then you still will be attacked by drones and missiles. And so Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Iran attacked commercial ships, tankers that were moving through the strait without IRGC permission with drones. And this caused the traffic to begin to slow down. In retaliation, the United States began bombing Iran's southern coast, where the drones were being launched from. So Iran launches their drones and missiles on some of those islands in the Strait of Hormuz and in some of their major port cities on their southern coast, which borders the strait. The U.S. launched airstrikes against those southern cities and the islands Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And each time, Iran retaliated by bombing U.S. bases in Bahrain and Kuwait. And so effectively, if this is how this is going to go, then the MOU has completely collapsed, because all of the terms, all of the categories that are addressed by the MOU, there is no longer any understanding or agreement between the two countries. If Iran is attacking commercial ships, then the Strait of Hormuz is not opened. If Iran and the United States are bombing each other, then there's no ceasefire. And as long as the Strait of Hormuz is closed and the U.S. and Iran are bombing each other, then the U.S. and Iran will not advance in diplomacy to this 60-day period where they're going to work out the nuclear program. And what this effectively does is it puts us in exactly the same place where we were before the MOU. It puts us in the exact same place when the original truce was declared back in April. And this is a story from the New York Times. We'll talk a little bit about where this is going to go. It says, quote, an Iranian official contradicted President Trump's claim that direct U.S.-Iran talks would be held in the Qatari capital on Tuesday, saying on Monday evening that an Iranian delegation would be in Doha over the next 2 days, but not to hold talks with U.S. officials. In comments carried on Iranian state media, Iran's deputy foreign minister, Kazem Haribabadi, said that the delegation's role was to work with Qatari mediators to get the U.S. to uphold its commitments in the ceasefire. Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, two of President Trump's closest advisors, were flying to the Qatari capital, Doha, for the talks, according to Carolyn Levitt. Mr. Kushner and Mr. Witkoff have helped lead negotiations with Iran in the past. 4 straight days of hostilities that began on Thursday have imperiled the tenuous 2-week-old ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Despite the truce, the countries have continued to stage attacks in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital conduit for global oil and gas shipments that Iran effectively blockaded during the conflict. The exchange of strikes began when Iran hit a cargo ship in the Strait and another vessel on Saturday, prompting retaliatory American strikes. The Iranian military later said it had targeted a U.S. naval base in Bahrain and a Kuwaiti air base with drones and missiles in response to the American attacks. On Sunday, a U.S. official said that the two countries had agreed to halt the attacks on the Strait and allow vessels to move through freely. So, once again, I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, and I am. It's true. But we are going around and around in circles every week, every month, every day, it seems,
People
in the
have tuned
conflict.
it out.
There is no agreement on any one of these issues. Like we talked about before, ever since we killed Iran's supreme leader and we waged this regime change war against Iran, what they have done is close the Strait of Hormuz. Why are they doing this to us? What is the point of closing the Strait? It is to deter any second or third or fourth attempt at regime change against their country. To put it very simply, that is what has happened. The U.S. crossed this red line of actually attempting regime change. We assassinated their head of state. We assassinated half of their civilian and military leadership, and we went for it all. We tried to topple their government, destroy the regime, and foment a revolution. The Iranian regime survived. And that is the most important fact in the conflict. We went for the king, we missed, and now what Iran is doing is they are ensuring that never again will we attempt another regime change. Because we could. We took a crack at it, we failed, and surely what the United States will do next, if we are allowed to leave the conflict, if there is a truce, a short-term ceasefire, if there is a peace deal, what the United States will surely do next is we will simply rearm, we're going to re-equip ourselves, catch our breath, and we're going to come back again. We're going to come back in 6 months, 9 months, a year and a half. It is all but inevitable that after our first attempt, failed attempt at regime change, we're going to do it again in the future. And why are we necessarily going to do this? Because by trying regime change, we have now permanently, most likely, foreclosed the possibility of diplomacy and normalization with this regime that we tried to kill. And so if we can't negotiate, if there's no diplomacy, then what is the Iranian regime liable to do? They're going to rebuild their nuclear program, rebuild their missile program, rebuild their military. They will be more defiant, more belligerent. And like I said, they're never going to work out any kind of compromise with the United States. So in attempting to kill the regime is never going to work with us, never going to trust us. And this is a regime that is a nuclear threshold state. And it's a regime that has a substantial military industrial complex with native drone and ballistic missile production capacity. We cannot tolerate the existence of a regime like this. So this makes it in such a way that the United States is going to come back and try again. So Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz to hurt us as badly as possible economically. They're demonstrating that if we try it again, they always reserve the right to do what they're doing right now. And there's nothing we could do to stop it. Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, shut down 20% of the world's energy. They're pushing the entire planet, including the United States, to the brink of an energy crisis, which will lead to a spiraling economic crisis. And they're doing this with drones and missiles that are impossible for us to suppress at a 100% rate. They're telling the whole world, this is what happens when you attempt regime change. If you try it again, we're going to crash the economy all over again.
Good for them.
So this is where we are.
You know, they've been getting bullied for a century.
In these negotiations, what we are attempting to do, of course, the United States is begging Iran to open up the Strait. That's realistically more what is happening than an actual war. We are no longer realistically in a war with Iran, so much as we are in a protracted negotiation, begging them to open up the Strait of Hormuz because we failed and lost in the war.
Now we're struggling.
Now, we are begging Iran to open up the Strait, but of course, Iran is not going to do that unless they have some assurances that we're not going to attack them again. So this is what they're asking for. For them to relieve pressure on the United States, they're asking us to remove our bases and our military from the region. They're asking for their assets to be unfrozen, and they want reparations so they can rebuild their country. They want formal control over the Strait and the ability to charge money so that they can rebuild their country, also so that in the next conflict, they have the right to close the Strait again. They want a ceasefire in Lebanon so that they protect their number one proxy, Hezbollah, which will serve as a check and a deterrent against Israel in particular. And these are their demands that they're putting on the table. And unless those demands are met, Iran is not confident that we will not attack them again.
Why would
so this is why they're telling us, effectively, they want an unconditional surrender. We are not letting up the pressure. We're not going to let your economy get back to normal. We're not going to let you avert this crisis until you give us a reasonable assurance that we are strong enough, that we are in a position where we are not vulnerable to a second attack. And the United States has been coming to terms with this. Obviously, we don't want them to control the Strait because that is what they will use to prevent us from attacking them again. Obviously, Israel doesn't want a ceasefire with Hezbollah because Hezbollah is how Iran will deter another attack by Israel. Of course, the United States does not want to let Iran have nuclear enrichment because if we do, and we can't attack them because they have control of the Strait, then that means they can enrich without limits to a level of purity that could be used in a weapon and create an amount that could be used to create a nuclear arsenal. So the United States is trying to come to terms with this. We don't agree with what Iran has set out in these conditions. We're never going to let them have their ceasefire in Lebanon. We're never going to let them have the Strait of Hormuz. We're never going to let them have enrichment. But as long as we're not going to let them have these things, then Iran is never going to open up the Strait. And so these have been the central issues in the negotiations. These are the central issues addressed in the MOU. But like I've been saying since the beginning, there is no agreement on any single one. There is no agreement on a ceasefire in Lebanon. Iran demands it as a precondition. Israel has said we will never agree to that. Iran demands as a precondition that they control the Strait of Hormuz. We have insisted that will never happen. It must be freedom of navigation. The White House, the State Department, the Vice President have all said the only way it's going to be is freedom of navigation. And so if those are the two imminent issues in the MOU, there's still no agreement. There wasn't an agreement before the MOU. And there still is not an agreement after the MOU. We were even debating about these issues while we waited to see the MOU. From the time it was announced on a Sunday until it was released on a Wednesday, there was discrepancies between Washington and Tehran about what was even in it. And then since then, both sides have been coming to terms with the fact that neither side is really serious about upholding it. So what is going to happen, as we talked about before, is that one side is going to have to give up. So what will truly happen in the Strait? Well, either Iran is going to allow ships to go through the Strait without their permission. And that's going to happen one of two ways. Either they're going to tolerate commercial shipping going through this new lane around the Omani coast without being attacked by Iran. They're either just going to let that happen and they forfeit control of the Strait to Oman, or they're going to open up their lane, which hugs their coast. And they're not going to demand permission, and they're not going to demand tribute from ships that go through the Strait. But that is really the option. Either they are going to give up the Strait in one of those two ways, or the United States is going to simply allow Iran to harass shipping if it doesn't get their permission, or they're going to demand that all the commercial shipping just fork over their money to Iran and go through the IRGC-controlled lane of passage. But one of those two things must occur. Either Iran is going to capitulate in one of those two ways, or the United States is going to give up on this idea that the Strait of Hormuz is a neutral waterway and that there will be freedom of navigation there. And the same is true in Lebanon. Iran has insisted that Lebanon has national sovereignty, territorial integrity, and what that means is a full withdrawal of Israeli forces on the ground and a complete cessation of attacks against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and Beirut. Israel says, according to the agreement that was made on Friday, they're not leaving and they're not going to stop their attacks until the threat from Hezbollah is neutralized. And that's just simply never going to happen. Israel says they will follow through with the agreement they made on Friday, which is an agreement that upholds the MOU from 2 weeks ago. They said only conditioned upon whether Hezbollah is fully disarmed by Lebanon, something that is never going to happen. So once again, either Iran is going to allow Israel to continue to occupy Lebanon and allow Israel to bomb Lebanon with complete freedom of operation, or Israel is going to completely capitulate to Iran and they are going to withdraw and stop their attacks, allowing Hezbollah to reconstitute itself and mobilize on their border again. Something that's not going to happen. Those are the two imminent issues considered in the MOU. And like I said, there's still no agreement. And we know that because both sides are still fighting on both issues. Israel bombed Lebanon yesterday. There's no agreement to withdraw. There's no agreement on a ceasefire in principle or in practice in Lebanon, which means there's no ceasefire on all fronts, which means there's no ceasefire at all. And yet that is what the MOU says. And in the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is attacking tankers that do not get permission from the IRGC. They've done it every day this weekend. They say the only way to go through the Strait is with their permission. So they are not willing to open up the Strait for freedom of navigation. And on our side, we are now escorting individual tankers with a full U.S. Navy package. Individual ships are getting helicopters and drones and fighter jets to escort them through the Strait so that they don't get hit with drones, which is incredibly expensive. So clearly we are committed to upholding freedom of navigation. Now, since the events of this weekend, which by the way have demonstrated that, like I said, there's no agreement, both sides are still willing to fight it out on both issues. Since the events of this weekend, the White House has said, it's actually funny, they announced yesterday, a half hour before the futures trade opened, that there's going to be new talks in Qatar tomorrow. Trump announced on Truth Social, he said the Iranians begged us for another meeting, and so we're meeting in the Qatari capital on Tuesday, and we're going to put this agreement back together. Trump announced this literally minutes before the futures market opened yesterday. Why do you think that is? because we are still trapped in this cycle where Trump says Iran wants to make a deal. They want to make a deal more than anyone realizes. They're begging us for another ceasefire. Iran denies it. Iran reissues the same demands. Trump comes out and says Iran is being ridiculous. If they don't accede to our demands, we're going to bomb them again. And then right before the markets open, he says, we actually have another meeting. They are begging us for more talks. So minutes before the futures market opened, Trump announces a meeting with Iran and Qatar. And within the last 24 hours, Iran denied that that meeting is even happening. We're supposed to have a meeting on Tuesday to iron all this out, get everything back on track. When what is really even the point? I thought that's the point of the MOU. The entire purpose of this agreement is so that none of this is happening. There's a ceasefire, the Strait is opened, and yet we're still doing these tenuous, precarious negotiations about opening the Strait, having a ceasefire. There's debate about if the talks will happen at all. What is even the point? So Iran says the talks are not happening. In spite of this, Iranian negotiators and American negotiators are both going to be in Qatar on Tuesday. So maybe there will be a meeting, maybe there won't be. As always, we don't even know. Who is lying here? We're saying the meeting is happening, they're saying it isn't, yet both sides will be there. Somebody's lying. Iran says the meeting is not direct, but rather the Iranian delegation is meeting with the Pakistani or Qatari mediators, who in turn are meeting with the Americans. So we're back to indirect talks. The direct negotiations on nuclear in the MOU have been downgraded to indirect talks on the Strait and Lebanon. And most likely that is what is happening tomorrow. But I wouldn't hold your breath on there being an MOU that works or something like that, because at the end of the day, like we've been talking about, both sides disagree on every single issue. We disagree fundamentally on the nuclear file. We disagree fundamentally on Lebanon, on the Strait of Hormuz, on what constitutes a ceasefire. And so unless and until one side gets to a point of exhaustion and capitulates, then there's not going to be an agreement. Here's the problem. Iran does not realistically have a hard deadline. Iran is not in a position where they have to open up the Strait. There's no hard deadline on the situation in Lebanon. There's no hard deadline on whether the U.S. will attack them. They will endure more U.S. attacks. Hezbollah will endure more Israeli attacks. In other words, Iran is not in any rush. They got bombed 15,000 times already. Hezbollah has been bombed every single day for the past year and a half, even though they've been in a ceasefire. What's a few more airstrikes from Israel and the United States? They can endure this. They've already been through the worst of it. But on the other side, the United States is rapidly running out of oil. Our strategic petroleum reserve is running out. And we're starting to see some alarm bells. People are starting to notice that U.S. oil reserves are running dangerously low, like so low that it's going to damage the infrastructure. It gets to a point where the oil, it quite literally needs to keep flowing through the pipelines, from the storage tanks through the pipelines. If it doesn't, it messes with the pressure that pumps the oil out. If the level of oil in the storage facilities gets too low, the quality of the oil degrades. You're literally having problems with minimally low supply, such that the infrastructure will start to become damaged. This is where we are at, and this is starting to be reflected in the price. Trump came out today on True Social and complained that gas companies, gas stations were price gouging.
Okay.
He said because even though the price of oil is going lower, the price of fuel remains high. And I would imagine the reason that is because the gas stations, maybe unlike the speculators, are pricing in that very soon we might see an energy shortage. Really? Very soon we might run out of.
That's a good thing. That means it pinches down on the gas we do have today, so we don't burn through it. And that way, if there is an effect to the supply line, we'll have that gas. It won't just get pissed away. You know, the market is a good thing. And like, if the gas station's doing that, will help us. It's Trump manipulating the stock market that's keeping it from the market from reflecting this war.
Refined oil products, petroleum products, because we're just, the supply is simply going to run out. We only make so much. We don't make enough for ourselves. And there's only so much oil that's out there that's being bought up by every other country that we could import via the sea. So maybe the gas stations know something speculators don't, which is that very soon, unless there is an agreement to open up the Strait in a real way, we're going to run out of fuel. Simply, there's just not going to be enough. And that is what the price is supposed to reflect.
And that's
of
good.
course, is the relative supply and demand of a particular commodity. And it's very funny. I read that post on True Social. Trump says, why is it that oil prices are down, but fuel prices are up? He says it's price gouging. He says, we are going to look into these gas stations, fuel providers that are not bringing the prices down because this constitutes profiteering and price gouging and corporate greed.
From this
Is
asshole.
this not literally what Joe Biden said when the Ukraine war started?
Bro, he's been doing crooked ass shit the
Russia
whole time.
also happens to be one of the world's largest energy exporters. Oil, natural gas. And when the war in Ukraine started and the United States put sanctions on Russian oil and then blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which prevented the flow of Russian natural gas, suddenly there was an energy crunch. Just like with Iran, there was a race on the part of the European countries to find alternative energy supplies. They were bidding for liquefied natural gas, which was in very short supply back then. And there was a shortage of oil because the United States put primary and secondary sanctions on Russian oil. And so suddenly fuel prices were going up because the ability to buy and deal in Russian oil and energy trade was restricted. And what did Joe Biden say at that time? He said it's price gouging, it's profiteering. Gas stations are raising their prices because they want to make more profits. They're taking advantage of the situation. So go figure. Joe Biden and Trump both start a totally unnecessary war. I suppose Russia started the war in 22. But both presidents get us involved in a conflict which has an extreme effect on the global energy market. It leads to high energy prices, which leads to increased inflation, which puts a squeeze on American consumers. And instead of ending the conflict, instead of doing something common sense, they go on social media and they blame the market. They blame the gas stations. They talk about price gouging. And I think that's when you realize there's literally no difference. You get a Democrat, you get a Republican, it's fundamentally the exact same thing. So this is a situation with the MOU. The only indication of what will happen in the future, as I've been saying, is this countdown timer, which is that we are running out of fuel. If it is a question of who will blink first, who will capitulate, who's going to give up effectively, because like I said, something has to give here. It's going to go one way or it's going to go the other. Either Iran is going to get their way and we will acquiesce and say, you know what, just pay them the $2 million a ship. We're going to go to these Gulf countries, we're going to go to the shipping companies, and we're going to say, you know what, just give Iran their $2 million a ship. Just tell the IRGC you're coming. Don't go through the Omani route. We lost this one. Like, either that's going to happen or Iran is going to not interfere when all these ships are moving through this alternate lane that is tight with the Omani coast. One of those two things is going to happen. And same situation in Lebanon. Either Iran is going to give up and they're not going to retaliate against Israel. They're not going to close the Strait. They're going to let Israel occupy Lebanon, or Iran is not going to let the Strait open until Israel leaves. But it's going to go one of two ways. And it comes down fundamentally to who will collapse from exhaustion first. Iran's been through a lot. Their entire navy's been sunk. Their leader's been killed. Their leadership has been assassinated. They are running out of cash. Their economy's in free fall. They have a lot of problems. However, the United States is in a very different situation. We are not under a siege like Iran. We don't have that same siege mentality. And so as bad of a position as Iran is in, they're in it to win it. Their people have rallied behind the regime. The regime has total control over the society. And they've been through hardship for 20 years, longer. Is the United States in it to win it? Do we have a siege mentality? Are we ready to tolerate a recession? Are we ready to tolerate more inflation? Are we ready to tolerate a collapse of the stock market and everybody's pensions going down? Are we ready for true economic pain? Are we ready for fuel rationing at the gas stations in pursuit of this conflict in Iran? I don't think the will for us to win is there. And so if it's a question of who is exhausted first, I think the United States gets exhausted. I think those economic pressures, that reality is going to set in much more quickly and much more acutely on our side than theirs. And the question then is, what will the United States do? Are we going to totally acquiesce, or are we going to try a more intense military operation? But make no mistake about it, this isn't over. This is not over. Like they were saying 2 weeks ago, they said the war is over. Hey, at least it wasn't as bad as we thought it would be. By no stretch is this conflict over. None of this is resolved. There is no agreement. People say there's a peace agreement. There's no agreement on any of the issues. And so as long as that is the case, this will go on. And you can have your negotiations and you can have your meetings, and they could be direct or indirect. Fundamentally, it won't matter until something structurally changes and how the two countries are engaging with each other. So that's the latest on the MOU. I want to get a little bit into the Supreme Court, and then we'll talk about our super chats. The other big story from last week is on these two big Supreme Court rulings on immigration. And I have to say, this is some good news. I've been very down on the administration on almost everything, but this is one of the actually rare bright spots, something they're actually doing well. In fairness, some of their Supreme Court cases and executive orders and government actions that have been challenged by the federal judges are totally hopeless. For example, I think that overturning birthright citizenship through an executive order, obviously that's hopeless. That's never going to happen. But you know what? You throw enough at the wall and some of it is going to stick. You take a maximalist approach with some of these executive orders and bureaucratic measures in the executive branch, it may be challenged by a federal judge. If it's considered by the Supreme Court, it might go the direction that we want it to. And here's two really good examples of this. There were two major Supreme Court decisions on immigration last week, one concerning temporary protected status and another concerning asylum seekers at the southern border. The first is about the Temporary Protected Status Program, or TPS. This is a program that was launched under President Bush Sr., and it says that if a country is experiencing a hardship, like a genocide or a famine or a natural disaster, then refugees from those countries can come here, and for 18 months, they can live here without any legal residency. They're temporarily protected from deportation because of this unique situation that we're in. In other words, if refugees flee from a hurricane, an earthquake, a genocide, a civil war, and they're here illegally, we're not going to pick them up and send them back to this country to be executed or to die of starvation. That's the idea. And so the government will extend this temporary protected status on an 18-month basis, hence temporary. It's only supposed to go for a finite amount of time for particular countries where there is acute hardship, and this status can be extended on a rolling basis depending upon what is happening in that country of origin. So there's a series of countries that we have TPS for. We have TPS for Venezuela because of the collapse of their economy. We have TPS for Haiti because their government collapsed. We have TPS for Syria because of the civil war. Now, when Trump got into office in 2025, he began terminating TPS status for all these different countries. He terminated TPS for Syria and for Haiti, which would effectively allow all these people to be deported. Combined, there's about 270,000 people that are protected under the TPS program from Syria and Haiti. Now, that is where the conversation should begin and end, obviously. If our government benevolently and magnanimously and charitably allows refugees inside our borders because your home country is experiencing hardship, then it is also our discretion when and whether we send you back. If 300,000 refugees come to this country from Haiti and Syria because your country is broken, and we say, all right, we'll let you stay a little bit, and the understanding is when conditions improve, you're going to go back, then obviously it is the discretion of our government when that's going to happen, when and whether you're going to go back, because it is the definition of sovereignty that our government gets to decide who lives within our borders. Of course, it's up to us whether you get to stay or leave. You're not a citizen. You're not a legal resident. You don't have a green card. You don't have a work visa. You're not providing anything. You're not studying. You're here because your country sucks. You're here literally because of our good graces. And if we're in control of our country, that means we get to decide when the time is up, when you go home. So Trump gets into office. He terminates TPS for Syria, for Haiti, and a federal judge issues an injunction. A federal judge stops the president from stripping them of their protection and says the president cannot do this because he didn't go through the proper bureaucratic process, because Homeland Security and Congress and all these layers of bureaucracy, they need to decide if conditions have improved in that country first. They need to give approval first. The president cannot decide at his discretion who stays and who goes. He needs to ask the bureaucracy, which is not elected. He needs to go through this legal process. And the Supreme Court ruling said, in fact, the president does have discretion to terminate TPS. He doesn't have to ask a federal judge. He doesn't have to ask Homeland Security. The executive branch can terminate at will who gets to stay here, which is a great ruling. That is a huge step in restoring sovereignty. The other big ruling is concerning asylum seekers. It used to be the case that if a foreign national is seeking asylum, very similar to temporary protected status, asylum seekers under a law from the 1980s and a UN convention, they have certain rights in our country. If an illegal immigrant, if a foreign national comes into the United States and they claim asylum, which is a very specific thing because of humanitarian reasons, for political reasons, because of a fear of persecution, then that triggers a legal process where we actually have to review their claim and validate if it's legitimate. Are you eligible, in other words, for asylum in the United States? And what asylum means, it's very similar to TPS. You get these protections from deportation. It's contrary to our own law and to international law to remove someone that legally has asylum. But this has been exploited as a loophole for illegal immigration. And what happens is you will have these nonprofit liberal organizations. They go to Mexico, they go to the Northern Triangle countries, and they bring lawyers. Nonprofits, NGOs funded by our own State Department and funded by billionaires, they will send lawyers to Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and these lawyers, they speak Spanish, they will coach those people living there on how to get to America, where to go when you arrive, and what to say when you get here. And it goes something like this. They'll send the lawyer down there, Spanish speakers, they'll tell these people, if you surrender at a port of entry on the U.S. border, you'll be apprehended by Border Patrol. But if you read this script, you say this, 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 and this, then that will trigger the asylum process. What?
You know what I said on Saturday? How, they're bringing these people in for businesses. Doesn't it sound strangely true? Every time you hear something else about migrants and how our government is helping them, how our churches are helping them, it sure does seem odd, don't it?
What you're going to do is you go to the port of entry, you're going to get picked up. Don't worry about it. That's okay. And when you get picked up and when you're detained by Border Patrol, you're going to tell them that you're seeking asylum and here's why. And you're going to say these specific words. And when you say those magic words, it triggers the asylum process. And what the United States then has to do is we actually have to process the claim. Now, you might think, what's so bad about that? These illegal aliens are going to sit in a waiting room at the border while we consider whether they're a real asylum seeker, whether they're a real asylee. Here's the problem. There's a giant backlog of asylum seekers, millions. I think it's hundreds of thousands. It might be in the millions of people that we're trying to get to. Huge backlog. The judges are way behind. We don't have enough judges. We don't have enough attorneys to adjudicate all these asylum claims. So what do we do with all these people that are backlogged? Well, you got to detain them. If somebody shows up to the border, makes a claim, and there's millions of them, and we don't have the judges and the lawyers to speedily get through all these cases, what do we do with these millions and millions of asylum seekers? Well, you either got to detain them at the border, which is very expensive because then you're going to need facilities for that. You can't put them in cages. We remember what happened under Trump #1. You can't put them in cages or tents or alligator Alcatraz. So what are you going to do? Well, you got to start building like hotels for them. You got to start building bedrooms and toilets and schools and hospitals. And you have to build all these amenities for, and these are millions of people. That's going to be like a city. If we have a city with the population of all of the asylum seekers and other illegal aliens that were processing their claims, that would be the biggest city in America. So the federal government doesn't have all these facilities. We got to send them out. So we tell them, go out into the interior of the country, go to Chicago, go to New York, go to Minneapolis, go to California, go out into the country, and we'll give you a court date. We'll send you some mail when we make a decision about your asylum claim. And then these people are never seen again because that's their ticket inside the country. That's their ticket. Then they're in. Once they're in, they're in. And they get a job and they get their subsidized housing and they get their subsidized everything and they get their asylum thing in the mail. Maybe they don't ever, and then they rip it up. So this Supreme Court decision said that if an illegal alien shows up at the border claiming asylum, as long as they never enter the United States, we don't have to let them in while we consider their asylum claim. It says that if they set foot on the land, then we got to process their claim and keep them here. But as long as they never set foot inside the country, in other words, if they get picked up at the border, but they never set foot on our side of it, we can process their claim while they wait in Mexico. And this is a story. This is from the New York Times giving a little summary on this. It says, quote, the Supreme Court on Thursday let the Trump administration end temporary protections that have allowed more than 350,000 people from Haiti and Syria to live and work legally in the U.S. The decision regarding TPS applies only to people from those two countries, but it will have implications for all 1.3 million TPS holders in the United States who come from more than a dozen countries. TPS allows foreign nationals to remain in the country for up to 18 months when a crisis, such as an earthquake or armed conflict, makes returning to their home countries unsafe. But the measure, which can be renewed by the federal government, has become all but permanent for recipients from some nations where crises have spanned many years. Justice Sam Alito said in Thursday's decision that federal law prohibited courts from second-guessing an administration's determination of which nationalities deserve protection and which don't. The Trump administration remains locked in litigation over whether it can end protections for more than 1 million people from Afghanistan, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Honduras, Myanmar, Nepal, Venezuela, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen. Protections for 4 countries, El Salvador, Lebanon, Ukraine, and Sudan, have not been affected. In a separate decision that also split 6-3, with liberals dissenting, The court on Thursday also said the Trump administration could turn away migrants seeking asylum along the U.S.-Mexico border by physically preventing them from crossing into the U.S. as they sought protection from persecution. The administration had asked the court to permit the government to revive the policy first used in 2016. Under that so-called turn-back policy, the government had stopped asylum seekers from setting foot on U.S. soil where federal law would have entitled them to try to claim asylum and receive protections. So these are some pretty big decisions, and it's a white pill, because what this does is it gives the administration the legal tools to reduce the number of illegals that come here and deport more of the illegals that already live here. But here's the catch, as always. Here's the problem, okay? The problem is we already have these tools at our disposal in many cases. We have now 10,000 ICE agents that were hired in the past year. We bought $700 million worth of warehouses to detain illegals. I think we bought 6 or 9 warehouses and facilities to detain illegals. $80 billion was allocated by the big, beautiful bill last year for immigration enforcement. And we're not doing any of it. We're not doing any of it. And the dirty secret about all these different programs is this is effectively a way to get cheap labor into our country.
Yep.
Where do all of these Haitian TPS claimants live? A significant chunk of these Haitians protected by the TPS program live in Ohio.
Yep.
Now that the Supreme Court has overturned a federal judge's ruling that Trump cannot strip away their protections, there has been a huge outcry of protest from Ohio's former governor, John Kasich, and the Ohio business community. Now, why is the Ohio business community so opposed to these Haitian refugees being deported? Is it because the Ohio business community is uniquely humanitarian? Those Ohio business leaders are notorious for their charity and benevolence. Obviously, the reason that the Ohio business community is against this decision is because they employ these Haitians protected under TPS.
That are eating
These are people that are in legal limbo. These are people that have no legal right to be here. They have no residency, no work permit, no nothing. They are in perpetuity, effectively illegal permanent residents of America. And as such, they're something like indentured servants working under the table under any conditions set out by their employer. As long as these Haitians are under a program where they could be deported at any time, they only have 18 months at any given moment at the most, then they're subject to the whims of their employers. It makes them very good employees. And so why is the business community against this decision in particular? Because this decision in particular affects this nationality, which has migrated to this particular state and is working low-skilled jobs, probably for very low wages and no benefits for the business owners in this state. That's why they're against it. That's what all these programs are. And why is this relevant? Because we know where the illegal immigrants are. We know where they are. It would be easy to deport all of them. They're working on the farms. They're working in the meat processing plants. They're working as couriers, as DoorDash drivers, as Uber drivers, and they're in the Home Depot parking lot working as contractors and doing all kinds of blue-collar work, construction work. We know exactly where they are. Why are they not being massively deported? Why are they not being removed? It would be so easy. All we would have to do is what we were doing before, which is patrols, visible raids. All you need is to have ICE out in full force in the cities, in the neighborhoods where we know they live. And you know what that would do? It would stop them from showing up to work.
Oh.
The illegal aliens aren't showing up to work when they see ICE around every corner, when they're on the Ring app or they're on Nextdoor and they're saying, icy roads, watch out. I saw an ICE agent. I saw an ICE vehicle. If you're driving some pickup truck full of landscaping equipment, or you're driving a truck full of carpentry equipment and you're Hispanic and you see ice around every corner and you're getting pulled over, guess what you're not going to do? Go to work.
Yep.
And if you don't go to work, you can't make money. And if you can't make money, how are you going to live in America? If you can't go out and do your grocery shopping and take the kids to school and go out on a Saturday night and go to work, well, maybe it becomes attractive at that point to self-deport. Maybe at that point it becomes attractive to take the $1,000 and the free plane ticket and sign up on the home app, the DHS One app, and self-deport back to Mexico or back to those Northern Triangle countries. That's how you do it. You would start deporting people from the job sites, you get visible again, and the rest of them eventually will take care of themselves. That's how you would do it. But the reason the administration will not actually engage in a massive deportation operation is because all these people are part of the economy. They're not just cheap labor, but they're also consumers. So what happens if we deport 350,000 people from Haiti and Syria? That's 350,000 fewer consumers, and it's maybe 175,000 fewer workers. And that means less tax money. It means less demand, aggregate demand, less consumption. It means there's going to be upward pressure on prices because you're going to need to pay workers a higher wage, more benefits. And by the way, these programs, H-1B, H-2A, all of these special programs, even the TPS for that matter, the ones you know about, the ones you don't know about, all of these immigration programs got started under the presidency of George Bush because of pressure from the Chamber of Commerce. That's why these programs were created in the first place. That's who made them. They made these programs 35 years ago so that they could get as many people as possible into the country to work these jobs and grow the market.
Grow the pie.
It's the same groups that are protesting against it all these years later while we try to undo the damage that was done, stopping the people at the border and deporting the ones that are already here. It's the business community. It was even the same in 1965.
Yep.
In the 1965...
Bro, did I not just go over this on Saturday? How beautiful, bro.
Immigration Act, we undid the national origins quota. We changed the formula for how we calculate how many immigrants from each continent can come to the United States.
It went from merit to familial ties. It went from people that had or deserved to be here and that would make our country better to being, low IQ and having a family member that would give you a place to live when you come here. So they just wanted retard workers.
For a long time, ever since the Immigration Act in the 1920s, we had a formula where most of the immigrants had to come from Europe and North America, and very few could come from Asia, Latin America, and Africa.
Not only did they come from Europe, but only 20% actually ended up immigrating and staying. The rest of them went home. It was 20% or 20% went back home. Tons of them, when they couldn't make it here, they had to go back home. There was no fucking welfare for them to live off of. They would starve if they stayed here.
Africa, and it was racist. That's why it was created. And that was the program. We prioritized immigrants from white countries. And then beginning in the 1950s and then culminating in the 65 Immigration Act, we retooled that formula under pressure from the SPLC and the businesses to say that we can get actually as many immigrants from Asia and Latin America as we can take. And the reason being is because that is where the population growth was happening. That was the source of infinite U.S. population growth. So it's always the same story. It's always the business community and their insatiable appetite for more workers and consumers, which is why you get more Asians and Latin Americans in the mix at all. That's why you get a higher volume of them. And now that they're all here, that's why we can't deport them. Because we need them here to work and to buy and to receive welfare and to vote and do all the things that these people do. So the question is not whether we have the legal authority to strip away their status. It's not a question of whether we have the authority to prevent them from coming into the country. It's whether the administration has the political will to actually do it. Because you could do it You could do it all day long. Are we going to see Haitians being dragged out by the hundreds of thousands of Ohio? I seriously doubt that. I would love to see that happen. I would love to see these 10,000 ICE agents that we hired. Please, if there is someone in DHS listening, send 5,000 ICE and CBP to Springfield, Ohio, and start deporting as many Haitians as you can. Get them the fuck out of America. And then I hope the rest of them get the message. Be visible, be obnoxious, go out there and parade around in the streets and make it so that they start to leave the country. And if we see 100,000 Haitians be deported or self-deport, then I'll consider that a great victory. But somehow I don't think that's going to happen. That's a sad reality. And by the way, it's the same way in every one of these states. In Ohio, they don't want to remove the Haitians. In Texas, they don't want to remove the Mexicans. Governor Greg Abbott is in bed with the major profiteers in agriculture that build entire cities for illegal aliens. They're literally giant, unauthorized, unincorporated tent cities where illegal immigrants live. And Greg Abbott knows all about it, and they won't shut it down because those are the big donors. They won't do it in Iowa because of all the industry that goes on there. They won't do it in Nebraska or Kansas. It is in these Republican states, surprisingly, Ohio, Texas, Iowa, where these major donors that make money from this class of low-skilled laborers, they control the GOP there, and that's why you're never going to see the deportations. Even in Georgia, Trump administration deported 300 South Koreans working illegally in a Hyundai factory. The Republican governor called the administration and told them to stop. They said, we need those people. The administration apologized and said, we're so sorry, it won't happen again. So whether it's Haitians in Ohio, South Koreans in Georgia, Hispanics in Iowa or Texas, it's Republicans representing the business interests, representing the Chamber of Commerce, the business community, which is why you never get the enforcement. And this is why I tell people, don't kid yourself. The idea that Democrats are going to flood the country with illegals and Republicans are going to send them all back, it's just bullshit. It's just not true. It is a uniparty agenda to bring these people in. Republicans, they're going to slow it down, but it's not going to stop. People are celebrating net negative migration. It needs to be 2 million net negative. People are saying we have net negative migration. First of all, no, we don't. Second of all, even if we did, so what? Joe Biden brought in 10 to 20 million illegal aliens. So do you know what it would look like if we got rid of those people in 4 to 8 years? It would mean we would need to remove like 2 million people per year. How many people do you think we bring in? So we would need like a net negative 2 million, 1 million people per year. If you're reducing legal and illegal immigration and you're deporting millions of illegal aliens, forget about net zero. It should be like net negative by the millions. We don't even have that. These are the word games they play. These are the semantic rhetorical tricks they use to get you to think every year we have some victory when in reality, we all know the country is exactly the same. Someone like Zohran Mamdani shouldn't even have a constituency when we're done with our immigration agenda. And yet here we are. So that's the situation with immigration. They're good rulings. I'm glad that they happened. It's great. But you know what? Okay, 300,000 people are cleared for deportation, maybe 1 million more. Well, I'd like to see it. Send them back. Send them back immediately.
Damn right.
But I'm not going to hold my breath and wait for that to happen. It hasn't happened so far. And if anything, DHS is getting worse.
Sadly. He's right.
And they're embarrassing themselves. They're just lashing out wildly. They're either totally incompetent, can't make it happen, and many of them don't even want to. But that's that. We're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys are saying about all this. Let's see. That's the biggest truth about the GOP. That's the ugliest truth. They're in on it. They are in on it. And it's so fun. It's actually hilarious. It would be hilarious if it wasn't so sad. Think of yourself as what you are, which is poor. You are poor and powerless. In a sense, we're all in the same boat. I'm also poor and powerless by the standards we're talking about, okay? People say, well, you're a millionaire. Well, $1 million is buy what it used to, okay? Let's say you're a working class person, you're a middle class person. Let's say you're an upper middle class person, a small business owner. Maybe you have a nice little nest egg. Maybe you have a small fortune or something like that, okay? All of us people that don't have political power, all of us that don't have maybe a net worth that is in the 8 figures or 9 figures at the minimum, we all have something in common, which is we have to live in the commons. What does that mean? It means our kids go to public schools. It means we don't live in gated communities. We have to use the public amenities, maybe public transportation. Maybe you need to drive on the highway. You fly commercial. That's what it means, okay? And so for all of us, we live in the diversity. They don't. If the demographics of the country change, it's the demographics of the country that we live in, because it's our schools those kids are going to go to, public schools. It's our neighborhoods these people are going to live in. They're not gated communities. They're not multi-million dollar homes. It's not in some condo with the super high HOA fee. When we go to the public swimming pool, when we go to the public beach, when we enjoy the public amenities, the public park, we're going to encounter these people in those places. That's the country that we live in because of our socioeconomic status. That's not the country that they live in. If you are very wealthy or a politician, you avoid all these problems. You're so rich that you live in a gated community where there's security paid for by the HOA or by your property taxes. Or your property taxes are so high, I should say, it prices out these constituencies, these communities. You pay maybe $20,000 a year per kid for your kids to go to a private school, where these immigrants, they don't have the money to do that. You go to a country club on the weekend. Your kids go to a country club that maybe cost $50,000 a year to be a member of. You're not going to some village field club. You're not going to some community pool. You're not going to the Oak Street Beach. You're going to the country club where it's a $50,000 membership fee and then it's $10,000 a year. This is where you live. This is where you work. This is where you play. This is where you study. You're insulated from these problems. You maybe have a chauffeur. You might maybe have a driver. Maybe your wife is stay at home and she drives the kids to school in an Escalade as opposed to, having to go on public transportation or something. They don't have to deal with diversity. Now, what does this mean politically? It means that politically, the voter base of the GOP are us white people, us stupid, broke, working poor, or working rich, maybe landlords or small business owners, white people that are getting pissed off about these problems. We look at our communities, we look at our way of life, we see how it's changing, and we say, you know what? We need to get rid of all these people. These people don't get along with us. We don't like it anymore. That it's uncomfortable at the minimum. At the most, it's deadly. I'm uncomfortable being around all these Indians. I fear for my life living around all these Africans. I don't want to live around these fucking people anymore. They're not like us. They don't look like us. They don't talk like us. They don't share our values. They're dangerous in many cases. They don't like us. They don't respect us. They don't respect our culture. They don't respect our norms. They're dirty in many cases. Fuck them. We don't want to live around them. And so we vote on this basis of we are deeply uncomfortable. Get these people the fuck out. Nothing is worth this. It's not worth it. We want our country back. We want our swimming pools back. We want our subway back. We want our schools back. We want our neighborhoods and our parks back. We don't want people shitting in the street. We don't want people breaking in a car window, stealing what's inside. We don't want people kidnapping cats and dogs. We don't want to live around these people. Now, the Republican Party knows that this is what we want, and so they promise it every year, and they pander to these sensibilities. They say they're eating the cats and dogs. We're going to do mass deportations. We're going to take our country back. We're going to have the largest. This is music to our ears. But the people that pay for the campaign, not the people that vote for the candidate, but the people that pay for the campaign, well, they employ all of those people. The very rich people that own the big farms, that own the big companies, that actually have enough money to give millions of dollars to the candidates, you don't understand the levels of wealth there are. There are people that have enough money, they can give $1 million every year to multiple nonprofits and state and local campaigns and federal campaigns. You may have a net worth of $1 million because maybe you own a home. That's your net worth. It's not really even real, right? Because it's not like you have $1 million in the bank. Your home is worth $1 million that you live in.
True.
Maybe you got a couple bucks because you got a small business, you own a home, maybe you own a few rental properties, okay? Maybe you got a nice little boat on the lake. You don't have money like that. You don't have money like that where you can give $100,000, $500,000, $1 million every cycle, every 2 years to campaigns, to nonprofits, to super PACs, to this, that. They do. They do. There's money everywhere. And there's a few names that have it. People like Les Wexner in Ohio. People like the Pritzker family in Illinois. People like Bloomberg in New York. There's a few oligarchs in each state that run all the business there. There's a few billionaire oligarchs in each state and some other nine-figure net worth individuals or families that own sufficient industry that they can give at those levels too. And they give all the money to the campaigns. And what do those campaigns do? They then protect the interests of those families, of those oligarchs, of those businesses. And those businesses those oligarchs own the businesses that employ those people that are making all of us uncomfortable. Those illegals, they work for the farm that is owned by the big donor in Iowa. Those illegals in Ohio, they work for the oligarch that's giving money to the Republicans. You see? So these businesses are bringing all these people in. They profit from this. This is how they make money. This is how they afford to give to campaigns and lobby. This is how they afford their conspicuous consumption. That's why the Republican Party's never deporting these people. It's a huge scam. That's the scam they're running on us. And then here's the sickest part of it all. Then we are in the trenches defending this fucking Republican Party on Twitter. The Republican Party needs me to tell every other Republican to keep voting Republican. And meanwhile, they're like, the Republicans work for the people that are bringing in the diversity. You think these politicians are mad that they encountered some Hispanic when they got done with work at their hot dog stand restaurant? That's not happening. They don't care about that. It's not their life. John Kasich is in a $2 million house that's in a neighborhood that's 99% white, saying why we shouldn't remove these Haitians. Yeah, you don't live near them. Right. Of course you don't want to deport them. Who paid for your $2 million house? The people that paid for John Kasich's $2 million house in a 99% white neighborhood are the businesses that employ the Haitians. And Kasich doesn't have to live around them because he got his payday. Hello? And you go on Twitter and say, we need to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. We need to vote for the Republicans because a Republican's better than a Democrat.
I'd rather have
it's
a
totally
white Democrat.
cucked. You're a cuck.
All day, every
for
day.
doing that. You're voting for the people that are paying the people that are ruining our community, which you claim is your sole and central issue. So that's why I say we have to boycott the GOP until they are America first, because this has been the arrangement for basically 60 years or something like that. There hasn't been an anti-immigration Republican consensus since the 20s. But anyway, that's that. We're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. Let's take a look.
Accidentally self-doxed sent $100. I feel like I can LARP as a Democrat. I just think I might shoot someone being around them too much. You put me on to Sophie Rain and Clav W.
Okay, well, don't say that. I hope I didn't put you on a Sophie Rain. Appreciate the big super chat. I'm not trying to scandalize my audience when I say that. Why is that? Why is this becoming like the most contentious thing of all time? You say about a porn star, hey, that girl is actually attractive, contrary to what everyone is saying. And now people are going, oh, you put me on to that. Really? But yeah, the Democrats, they do
Syracuse
suck.
native sent $20. Get closer with God and increase your prayer life and you'll sleep like a baby, Nick. I used to toss and turn just like you, skeptical.
Okay.
He says he's tossed and turned.
Thank you for the advice.
Slop sent $20.
That's great.
Slop sent $20.
You know, listen, and here's the problem. I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to say you shouldn't pray. Like, yes, praying is true, but some people also just have problems that can't always be solved that way. I used to toss and turn, but then I started praying. Now I sleep like a baby. Well, you know, some people are just anxious. Some people are anxious and they have problems that make them extremely anxious, and they're obsessive, preoccupied people, and they have all kinds of problems that you don't have. And, you know, yeah, like on some level you put your ultimate faith in God, but if that's your particular personality, it's sort of like, okay, what if I got in a fucking car crash and a metal rod went through my fucking chest? Would you say, hey, well, just pray more and it'll be like it never happened? It's like, no, I still need to get this metal rod removed from my chest. I still can't walk, dipshit, you know? That's my favorite. Anyone has any problem. I remember I told the story before. I was at a party one time and this guy couldn't find his car keys. And the guy said, damn it. Anybody see my car keys? I can't find them. I think I lost them. Can people help me look for them? And some fucking asshole says, you should pray to St. Anthony, the patron saint of lost things. And it's like, who said that? Can we never invite that guy back here ever again? Can we all beat the fuck out of this guy? If I lost something and someone said that to me, could you imagine? Imagine you like realized you lost your phone. Imagine you get out of the Uber, you go to the party or wherever, you get home, and then you go, oh, where's my phone? Did I leave it in the Uber? Did I leave it at the party? Did I leave it at my friend's house? Oh, and then someone tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, friend, relax. Just pray to St. Anthony, patron saint of lost things. I'm sure it'll turn up. If someone said that to me, I would go Carmelo Anthony. I would go full Carmelo Anthony. I would say, the fuck did you just say to me? And I would just whip out a knife and I would just go to town. I would transform. It's like one of those AI edits. My face becomes face swap with Carmelo Anthony. The fuck did you just say to me? Because you know that feeling in the moment when you lose something? You're like, where did it go? Somebody goes, pray to the patron saint of lost things. I'll get right on that. You got any medallions in your pocket? While we're at it, you got any magical medallions? You got any talismans that'll help with that? If I rub this mug, will I? And I'm not trying to be blasphemous for even a second at all, but sometimes people, it's like there's a little bit of a conflation about visible and invisible things and problems that we have. Patron saint, would you help me look? Would you help me look? It's like you're gonna go Qui-Gon Jinn and start meditating. Oh my gosh, my child is drowning in the pool. Will someone help him? I'm praying to the patron saint of drowning children. Sits down like Qui-Gon Jinn. Heavenly Father, remove the water from the sun's oxygen, from the sun's lungs. It's like, help me, help me, help me. That's crazy. Not to be, I hope that doesn't come across blasphemous, but that's just crazy. I love that. That's just like, dude, get out of my life. You say to somebody, you know, man, I've just been having a lot of problems. I got a lot on my mind. I just can't sleep lately. I can't eat. The days go on without end. And somebody goes, get closer with God. It's like, you are a terrible friend. Nobody should ever be friends with you. Listen, man, you know, I lost my job. I can't pay my rent anymore. My girl left me. I'm just having a lot of problems. I got mugged the other day and I dropped my phone. And I got a stain on my favorite shirt, and things just really aren't going my way. Get closer with God and increase your prayer life. You'll sleep like a baby. I used to have that problem too. Dude, it's like, do not talk to me. Do not talk to me. That's insane.
Bot Slop sent $20. Are Grow Hypers allowed to buy Sophia Rainov?
No.
Heart of the Wolf sent $50. It's crazy how much you're taken out of context. Many people expose themselves as idiots and are liars with their responses to you. Keep up the good work, Nick, and don't let the detractors drag you down.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Amelora
Let
sent
the
$25.
bastards
Hey
drag
Nikki,
you down.
will you be my kismissus? Just
Yeah,
Google the
do
term
it.
later toots less than 3 less than. Common Void sent $20.
Oh no, dude, stop, go away.
Common Void sent $20.
Are you engaged?
Common Void sent $20. No question today. I just think you're so hot less than 3.
All right, please stop. You're just blackpilling me with this shit.
Jackson
please.
Dark Groy sent $25. To all the New York Growipers, keep strong. Nick, thank you for last night's episode.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Sasuke Groy sent $20. Some advice for your date with Sophie. Tell her I'm that gorilla dick nigga. I make dyke pussy.
Okay.
A sent $60. I owe you.
Thank you,
A Philly
appreciate
Zero
it.
and sent $25. I've never seen Nick more in need of a beer than on that FNF After Hours panel.
Oh, it was rough.
Get this guy a beer. Yeah, more like a
He didn't
fucking
look
shoot
pleased.
me. More like kill me.
Truly.
Dude, Myron was walking me back to the hotel after that panel,
Well, he had to
and
be
I was
walked back
thinking,
by
man, I
his
hope no one
boyfriend.
kills me. Then I was like, wait a second. I hope no one kills me. I was like, I hope no one. No, I shouldn't joke like that, but yeah. He was walking me back to the hotel. It's open carry in Miami. So he's like, you want a gun? I'm like, fuck yeah. So I just got a gun hanging out of my pocket. He's got Frank. And I was like, man, I hope no one. And I was like, wait a second. Oh, no, I seriously hope no one blows my head off right now. No, I'm joking,
Francesca sent
obviously.
$50. Nikki, baby, I love you. I need you. I miss you. Why won't you return my calls?
Okay.
I pay a shame.
We cannot give attention to these
Vale
types of
Angel
people.
Cake sent $60. Hi, Nick. It's my 19th birthday. I hope you're having a good night. God bless less than 3.
Happy birthday. Hope it's a good one. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the VC. It was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Or I'm sorry, I'm reading this next one that's coming up. Happy birthday. I got these two mixed up. Thank you very much, man. I hope you're having a great birthday. And I hope it's a lot of fun. God bless.
John Jacob Jingleheimer has sent $100. Thanks for chilling with the boys in the Real Nigga Hours VC. That was fun. Same time next Sunday?
No, but I appreciate the big super chat. Thank you very much. Same time next Sunday? Shut the fuck up. Like, why ruin it? Why ruin it? Why would you ruin it by saying that? Nobody can ever just enjoy a good thing. It's got to be, always got to ruin it. I don't know, maybe. But I appreciate the super chat. Glad you had fun.
John Jacob Jingleheimer has sent $50. How will Shapiro justify Daily Wire hiring Matt Nuclear after was arrested in 2022 for making terroristic threats to shoot up a daycare? Oh wait. Never mind. Drop the nuclear. It's cleaner.
Oh, okay.
Years
All
of
right.
War
Algeria
4
Groib
came
sent
out.
$20. I was watching your stream 10 years ago. ABT the clean break memo just today. You were on FKN point. Bullseye emoji. May Allah bless you.
Hey, thank you, King. Appreciate it. You're probably offended earlier.
You look tired sent $20. Myron is a better friend to you than Sneeko ever was.
That's true. But that's not a very high bar either. Myron is a good friend. That's not a very high bar. Sneeko is a terrible friend, so not saying much. So
Randall from Recess sent $20. Left-right unity means you back Plattner. They don't back Fishback. Back race communism. They drop transports or whatever.
yeah, 100. Very well said. Exactly right.
Mitt Romney sent $20. 3 hours of Foyd hell. And the only black girl was the one who was a grower pet.
Yeah, right.
Poemaria sent $50. Hi Nick, I wrote you a memo on the connection I mentioned last week between Paul Bilzerian and DeBartolo Sr. If you were interested, I could email that over to you. Thanks.
Yeah, do it. Send it over.
Auto Bogda sent $20. Nick, we love you. His merch wearing Growipers shout. Nick then faces the Jews who made him emperor. Vaporize the goyim.
Oh, so true. Imagine that. Oh, imagine that. I go to the rally. I'm at the rally. I crown myself emperor. The people cry out, "We love the king. We love the emperor. Long live the emperor." And I turn to the Jews and I go, wipe them all out. Wipe them out. Destroy all goyim. No, I'm kidding, of course. Sometimes I feel like that, but I would never
Jersey
do it.
Grower sent $20. My friend accidentally took a picture with flash of my other friend talking to a girl at a bar. L friend?
My friend took a picture with flash of my other friend talking to a girl. This is too complicated. I don't understand. My friend took a picture of my other friend talking to a girl at a bar. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's just kind of like faggot shit in general. Like being at a bar and doing all that is just gesture maxing. Like, why are you even in that situation?
Sneeko's family mud pie recipe sent $100. Have you ever read / heard an original idea from a woman that was impressive or profound enough to impact your worldview?
Oh
Was
my
thinking about that during
gosh.
F&F and personally IDTS other than mom
Wow.
advice.
What are we doing here? Yeah, okay, bro. Thank you for the big super chat. We get it. That's wow, great point. Women aren't like innovative or something. Really great. No one's ever heard this before. Amazing point. That's a true insight. Oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. Wow, you're right. You're right. There's no female philosophers or inventors. Wow, I've never thought of that before. It's like, what are we even doing?
Traffic and Truther sent $25. Great collab with Myron.
It's like fucking 100 degrees in here, and I'm like, I just can't. I'm over it. I traveled today. It's 100 degrees. I'm just like, I can't even pretend.
Traffic and Truther sent $25. Great collab with Myron. Another pushover with women is Trent Horn, even though his apologetics on the faith are solid.
Yeah, I know.
Mark
Thanks.
sent $500.
Thank you for the huge super chat. Appreciate it. Beautiful, no message. A beautiful no message. God bless you, man. I really appreciate
Wigger
it.
Groiper sent $20.
Thank you.
Would you rather go to Agartha with a group of 3 Aryans, Sophie Rain, Clavin Wigger Groiper, or with Sneeko and Candace?
Oh, the Aryans. Definitely the Aryans.
Kara sent $20. Just a small reward for not killing yourself after having to endure Fresh and Fit.
I really deserve it. I deserve a treat for that. I really do. Because, yeah, those
Barnett
was
sent
pretty
$20.
rough.
1 month off the weed and vape. Have been to
Good.
a Catholic church and am converting.
Good.
Used to be Mormon.
Wow.
Used to be McGaw. Thank you for all you do, sir.
Amazing. Love to hear that, man. That's why I do this dumbass show. That's why we do it. So I really appreciate it, man. God bless you. No weed. The vaping is bad, too. Really hate the vaping. Hate the weed. Why do people even do this stuff? I really don't get it. People always need to be fucking puffing on something. I don't get it. Just put the shit down. No weed, no vape, no Mormonism, no milk. No, you could do you could drink milk. I appreciate
Barnett
it.
sent $20. 1 month off.
That's a duplicate.
Rich Groiper sent $500.
Whoa!
Keep up the good work, King.
Thanks, I will. Oh, I love the rich, man. Thank you. Thank you, rich people. We love you. Appreciate the big super chat. I will keep it up just because you said so.
Bugman sent $20. Sup. Cool face emoji.
Sup.
Zoomer1998 sent $20. What period of the show was more blackpilling for you? The summer of 2019 or the period immediately following J6?
2021 was fucking brutal, man. 21 and 22 were some of the worst years of my life. But, 26, giving it a run for its money. 21 and 22 were fucking brutal. Worst years of my life. Easy. 2019, not even close. So, yeah, those were some rough times. Those were some pretty rough times. It was like my best friend stabbing me in the back, my 2 employees stabbing me in the back and trying to mutiny and trying to blackmail me twice, having all of my money frozen, losing my entire income, being put on a no-fly list, both my parents getting cancer. It was just like literally one thing after another, getting subpoenaed by Congress. Like where does it end? It's just like one thing after the losing all of my social media in 6 months. Those were some tough years. If I could survive that, I could survive anything. And what made it so challenging is that I had already lost everything. In 2017 and 2018, I got raped. 2017 and 2018, I dropped out of college. I was blacklisted and blackballed from all of politics. I was radioactive as a teenager, banned from CPAC. Everybody was, people writing hit pieces about me, the left and the right. And over the course, and I was censored, banned from PayPal, whatever. Over the course of years, in spite of all that, I beat the odds. I had a big stream. I was making lots of money. I achieved relative mainstream success. I made it. I made a little bit of money. And then it was all taken away. Even though I had already kind of beaten the odds once. They throttled me in the crib. I survived. I made it. And then they fucking cut my head off. Take all my money, all my income, banned from everything. My friends betrayed me. My employees betrayed me. One thing after the next. The legal troubles. So I had to do it all over again. I was like, really? I got to do it all over again? And I did. And then I went on the I met Ye. I went on the generational run. So just goes to show, never kill yourself. Never give up. Never give up. That's the only rule. No matter what. That's the only rule that matters, the only guidance. Failure is not an option. It literally does not matter what happens to you. Nothing matters as long as you never give up. You could be on drugs, you could have family problems, relationship problems, money problems, career problems. It only ends when you give up. It only ends when you kill yourself or you give up. So that's the only rule, is no matter what, you have to persevere, keep waking up. Tomorrow's always a new day. Something's always around the corner, and you never know what can happen. And that means you just keep putting yourself out there. Just keep getting out of bed every day. That's a victory every day. Get out of bed, make yourself presentable, and go out in the world. Meet people, go to work, make some money. You don't even need to make a lot of money. You know, it doesn't matter. But just keep trying. You're going to die either way. Yep. Every day above ground is another day you can take another chance. You know, you have another opportunity. You never know what can happen. So, yeah, that was a pretty dark year. Those are the years when you really got to dig deep in many ways. And it's not just spiritual, though that's a part of it. You really got to dig deep and get back to the drawing board. You got to make plans. You know, you got to cut out what's unnecessary. You got to be willing to lose everything in a sense and have a reset. Pretty tough, pretty difficult stuff. Yeah, that was a bad year. 21 and 22, no contest. Worst year of all time.
Mr. Theory sent $20. Staying in the coziest Airbnb with my teenage girlfriend, eating pizza while wearing my Epstein pullover.
Man.
Stay cozy, everyone.
Man, that's crazy. Good for you. Congratulations.
Top G Roy % $100. Message.
Thank you for the big super chat. Appreciate
Boy
it.
sent $50. A billionaire selling you his daughter may be the only safe way you can find a woman and have a family. Otherwise, just stay single forever. You can always pick up drinking later.
Okay, thanks.
Schmo210 sent $20. Took my toddler to kids' playground. Token Indian kid was hogging toys. White mom was saying Pradeep. Pradeep. You have to share. So typical. Reminded me of your Pranush rant. Hilarious as fuck.
That's what I'm telling you, man. It's like, you see these people like Navy Pier. You go to Navy Pier, you go downtown, and you get stuck behind one of these, like, there's like fucking 25 Muslims in a group. There'd be like 3 Indian dudes shuffling down the street. They're all disgustingly obese. 3 Indian dudes shuffling down the street side by side. You'll see like a group of 12 hijabis. They're all wearing burqas and niqabs and pushing strollers. It's the pestilence.
Davey sent $50. Happy June 29th. Your yay story and words on mediocrity versus exceptionality have inspired me for years. I've replayed them before starting my business in college and networking. Any advice for the youth?
Love that. June 29th. Everything must be tight. Pause. Too much sitting has ruined my body. That's true. Business advice for the youth. Well, I'm glad you like that rant. Well, I just gave you some advice. Some advice, well, I don't know. You'd have to be more specific. I can't just offer any general advice. Just stay focused. What really determines who succeeds and who fails is who is there for a long period of time. What you'll find is a lot of people just give up. It's easy to get a little burst of motivation. You do something for a few months and then you're like, it's not working. I give up.
Yep.
You got to be willing to do something for years. Do it every day for years and get shit on. Be embarrassed, be broke, whatever. That's what I did.
That's literally what
I remember
doing.
when I started my YouTube channel in like 2017, I came home from college as a dropout and all my friends clowned on me. I'll never forget. I dropped out of college. I came home from school and I was hanging out with my friends. They all remained in college and they all literally laughed in my face.
He was the
They
fuck
said,
up.
you think you're going to be a YouTuber? You think you're going to be a content creator? This fucking idiot thinks he's going to be a YouTuber.
That was before people could
And I
did
made
that.
no money. I was broke. I made no money until 2019 for 2 years. Imagine what you need to put aside to go in your basement every day and put on your $300 suit from Macy's in front of a green screen every night and say, hey, everybody, welcome to the show. You know, we got a great show for you tonight.
It's hard.
For 2 years before you have any success.
I've only been doing it 6 months.
Could you do it? Imagine dating a girl and saying that's what you do for a living. What do you think she would think?
It's not
Imagine,
easy.
what your family, your parents would think, your friends would think. Are you willing and able to do that? That's what you need to be willing and able to do. Well, and I'm not talking about just being a content creator. I'm talking about any entrepreneurship. I'm talking about anything. Got to be willing to put in the work, make the sacrifices, not worry about what other people think. You got to invest in yourself. And it doesn't mean, look, sometimes something's not going to work. Like just hitting your head against a wall 100 times isn't going to produce a result. You got to be smart about it. That's not the only thing, but that's a big thing that people lack.
He's right.
Is the kind of stick-to-itiveness. Are you going to be able to put it in the reps? I see it happen all the time with podcasters. Podcasters want to do a show. They get all excited about it. They're gung-ho. They're at it for a couple of weeks, and then they go, I'm not having fun anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. Take their foot off the gas. It's over. So that's how it is.
Viconius sent $50. Wearing slides on Fresh and Fit was a massive ore loss.
Look, those are the rules. Okay. And I hate it. Look, I hate it too. You go to a Muslim's house, they make you take your shoes off. I fucking hate it.
Asians do that.
But Myron is Muslim, so he makes everybody take their shoes off. I want to say, bro, can I just wear my fucking shoes? I don't want to be standing here in my socks like an idiot. Yeah. He goes, we could wear these slides. I'm like, I don't want to wear slides.
Not everybody is
bro.
colored, bro.
Why?
Why
is everything like this?
White people
I know,
like to
bro.
wear
It's
their
not up to
clothes.
me. I'm in somebody else's literal fucking house. No shoes. Okay, bro. Whatever you say.
Dr. MC Spankus sent $20. Libertarian Party unironically no human is illegal posting on their official account. Abolish ICE wholly unserious. Cooked. Neesditz sent $40. Alex Brucewitz on Tucker. I worked with him on the 2016 campaign in NC. I'd if you know him, but he was a huge fag then.
He's a huge fag now.
Hoosier Growy had sent $20. Regarding retinol discussion, highly recommend the retinoid bizaratine. Works well for my mid-20s Irish combo skin.
Thanks for the
Waffle
advice.
sent $20. I heard you don't like bacon on a burger. What next? Pro-hijab? 4 wives? Sneako reconciliation? Striver sent $20.
Oh, I get it.
Decided to
Bacon.
apply to a master's in philosophy thanks to your inspiration, hoping to be an influential professor/academic someday.
Good. Love to hear
Laura
it.
B sent $20. Frog emoji.
Thanks.
Chevrolet Groy sent $100. Some doubloons for me cappin'.
Please stop. Thank you for the big super chat, though. I appreciate it.
Miss Donell sent $20. Hey Nick, I saw a picture of you. Palpatinius Maximus sent $200. Doubloons.
Thanks, I guess, for that.
Gumble2Gumble sent $20. You need to do something nice for those of us who tuned into Fresh and Fit. Your collabs with the Browns always seem to go to shit. Nikki Ferriola from Cicero wants you with Skinny Joey from Philly. Mattman sent $50. The hose on Fresh and Fit wanted you, bro.
The one in the corner.
Wall Street Roy % $20.
No, they don't.
Chick.
They belong to the... No, they don't, actually. You think they do, but they don't.
Wall Street Roy % $20. The Daily Wire because they wire money to each other on the daily.
I like that.
Barry
That's
McKinner
good.
sent $20. Hey Nick, first show I've been a part of. How has your day been?
It's been a long day.
Northern Groy
Long
sent
day.
$20. Do you have any advice on how to show Christ-like love towards those who hate us?
I don't really know what you mean by that. I mean, it doesn't mean that we are vulnerable to them. It just means we pray for their salvation. I mean, when you talk about people that hate us, it doesn't mean you're literally going to let them attack your family and your livelihood. It just means you're going to pray for their salvation, but that's it.
Imagine millions gambling on the Chicago Cubs Groy % $20. Worked in Winnetka for a Jew last summer. It's as bad as they say. Anyways, Chicago loves you. One collab that could boost your popularity with the youth, it would be Chief Keef. Fuck them fresh and Floyds.
Right, Chief Keef.
Mr.
Right.
Person sent $50 for a better haircut.
Thanks.
You get nothing sent $25.
Thanks.
What should I do? Groy % $25. I'm 21, share a room with my brother. Work at drive-thru and my dad won't let me leave my hometown or move out.
Find somebody to live with. Find a job in another place and find roommates or something and find somebody else to live with. Your dad won't let you leave your hometown? What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean he won't let you leave? You could just go. You're 21. Just leave. If he tries to prevent you from leaving, just like call the police.
Yeah.
My dad won't let me leave my
Sounds like a
hometown
cop-out.
or move out. Just leave. He can't stop you. Just go somewhere else. Save up your money. Find a roommate. Find a job somewhere and just move out.
Sent $20. Sent $20. Nobody gets you. You have all this money and fame, but really you just want some genuine friends to hang out with regularly.
Okay, please.
Call sign Groy % $200 for the cause.
Thank you for the big super chat. Appreciate it.
The Big Dip has sent $20. Tuning in to see which of my favorite mega chatters bless you today. Shout out trust, shout out feminifides.
He sent me another super chat, but the dollar amount is $666. I don't like that. I appreciate the money, but I'm not putting that out there on the show. Can't have it. Can't we? I don't know what that is, but we can't have
Dylan's
that.
mind sent $20. Me when I'm sad and heartbroken on stream. Economics
Well-
Groy sent $30. Why do you think Tucker Carlson is such a big Fishback supporter?
Is he a big fish bag? I think you just interviewed him.
Mark Levins Groper sent $20. Infiltrated Hispanic community and most people I've spoken to are illegals or descendants of. Eye-opening how pervasive it is.
It's very pervasive.
Levins round for Goy sent $20. W's in the chat for Groy per dog for getting Nick through after hours on Friday.
Honestly, honestly, that dog was the only thing getting me through. You know what it is? It's like you talk to certain people and it's just like you're not, I've said this before, it's like you're not even really there. And so the dog really is a comfort. In some ways, the dog becomes more perceptive in that moment than another human being. Like you can almost connect with the dog on a deeper level than some people. Because you're not connecting with the people at all. The people become so self-absorbed or like blind. It's like they're not even really receiving you in the way that, even though the dog is receiving you on an instinct level, at least they're receiving you. A human being isn't receiving you on a rational or an instinctive level. They're just not even seeing you. You know what I'm talking about? So in those situations, you literally, you look into the eyes of an animal and you feel more seen than you do looking into the eyes of the person next to you. It's kind of a weird like dynamic. You feel more understood in that moment. You feel less alone even than being in a conversation. So yeah, there's something about that.
$20. What is your opinion on the Online Safety Act that the House just passed today? Based on all discussions, it seems people believe it will result in you needing a government ID to use any online service.
So what, they banned social media for under 16s? Do I have that right? I didn't see it. But yeah, I think that's basically true. It's already like that, bro. It's already like that. You go on YouTube and you try to watch something that's like a mature video or whatever, you now need to verify your age on YouTube to watch like a YouTube video.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they just want to track everything.
Muxvim sent $20. Hi, Nick.
They already did.
Hi.
Florida Chad sent $20. Looked like he rolled out of bed for the stream. Saw Ye last night in Tampa. You need to help Fishback if he starts.
Okay.
Rusty Screw sent $20. Big Dick Nick. Those ladies loved you and fresh and
Big Dick
Saracen
Nick.
Groy sent $100. As a Muslim, I wish white people would also come to our countries and create their own enclaves. We are pro-white. You guys did a lot for us too. Why would we be against the Iraq war if America actually put a democracy in there in exchange for some oil? We'd support overthrowing the monarchs too.
You would? Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, I don't know if a Muslim really believes that. That's not really a Muslim belief.
Emerald sent $20. Tucker plus Candace have become obsessed with taking down the American empire plus give up power to the East. They're just like Zionists.
Well, I don't know if they're just like that, but it's becoming similar.
Saracen Groy sent $20. Tucker never actually glazes Islam. He just talks about anecdotes like the Pakistani cab driver in the Gulf.
That's not really true. He had on somebody this past week to do exactly that.
67 Wang 67 sent $20. Myron really pulled all of the chopsicles out of the freezer for the panel. Al Scenery.
Chopsicles. That's good. I like
Die
that.
Hard Barrett sent $20. 2:37 and 56 seconds. Oliver Tree has told NJF
No
will attend his concert.
way.
Happy birthday, Oliver Tree. www.youtube.com/live/UM5 Cofis T equals 90.
It really has me bummed out that Oliver Tree died. I was out and I was blasting his playlist and I was really bummed out. He had a lot of bangers. I Miss You. What is it? Cowboys Don't Cry. And there he did this other one. He was a feature on another song. And I was like, man, he really had some bangers. Alien Boy. Gone too soon. I'm really messed up about that. I'm really sad about Oliver Tree dying. Let me see.
DM me, said they're going to be at your show.
Hang on.
Oliver, somebody DM me, said they're going to be at your show.
Oh,
Really? Who's that?
Nick Fuentes.
That is not who it was.
Pearl and Nick are coming.
Just a random fan of ours. One of
Really?
our
No
members.
shit. You guys got fans here.
Can they refund that or not?
Well, he doesn't know who I was. It was 3 years ago. That's crazy, though.
Anti-intellectualism sent $20. Do you believe in evolution from a common ancestor or young earth creationism? Do you believe the flood literally happened?
I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I've never done all the anthropology. People, like, I don't know. I mean, I suppose I should have more of an interest in it, but I feel like to have an opinion on that, it's such a technical subject concerning, like, anthropology and everything. And I'm just not, I don't have that scientific literacy. I don't have that background knowledge. So I've never done a full investigation of it. I tend to believe, though, that you do have a problem with abiogenesis. Like, I find it hard to believe that life originated from non-life.
Yeah. That is
Now, how does God bring life into existence?
You know how the only way that they can make that make sense is if they say anything can happen with infinite time. They basically say, oh, we're just not even, we're going to X out time. And that's how it's possible that any of the shit these evolutionists say is true. If time isn't infinite, then there's no way it could be done. So they just have to basically say, yeah, we're just going to take that variable out of the equation. That's the only way it works.
Who knows? Is it an evolutionary
In
process?
other words, it doesn't work.
Or did he literally put people in the world? I don't know. I think there's evidence for evolution, but it's hard to know where life originated and whether we evolved from like monkeys, let's say. But like I said, I'm not scientifically literate enough to say anything insightful about that.
Quick call, the doctor sent $20, according to Muslims. America, a secular multicultural society. Mexico, devout Catholics who cut heads off and traffic kids.
Well, I mean, that is basically true.
Jeet Slayer 420 sent $100. Check out this Texas Republican wearing a dress for Indians. Sob.
We've had our
Okay,
problems
thank you for the
with
big
crime
super
before,
chat.
Diego
too,
I
though.
% $40. What is your take on
You know,
gold?
in Chicago, Al Capone and shit, bro, that was some pretty rough gangster shit. You know, we've had our gangster issues just like Mexico.
Right now, is it still worth stacking as
Why
usual?
are
Will
you
price
asking me
continue?
for financial advice all the
Stealth
time?
Black
I don't
sent
get it.
$20. You look like Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho tonight. Look it up, it's funny. Smiley face emoji. Lie, you boy.
That's so funny that this black guy is telling me about an anime. Oh, because my hair looks tall. Yeah, I don't know, man. I got a bad haircut. Okay, sue me. Can we just stop talking about it and noticing it and commenting on it? I wish it was different. It isn't, okay? Thanks, I guess.
Taco Connoisseur sent $20. Puerto Ricans are despicable because their ancestors are products of raped unwanted slaves and pirates. Spick welfare addicts. Lysol
That's
sent
funny.
$100.
Thank you for the big super chat. Appreciate
Boogly
it.
sent $50. Yo, black girls with blonde hair.
Not a
Lamity
fan.
sent $100. What is your stance with Russian/Russia?
I don't know what that means, but thanks for the big super chat. I have no idea what that
Okie Grow I
means.
sent $50. I miss when the super chat
What's your stance with Russia?
Okie Grow I sent $50.
What does
I
that
miss when
mean?
the super chat segment was 1,000 dumbasses sending $3 each for 2 hours straight. Way more entertaining. Will you stream GTA 4?
No. I will not stream GTA 4.
Tonman sent $35. Going to prison for almost 2 years for my first offense. Fuck the government. They did me dirty. See you in 2 years. Nick, God bless you and Chad and your family. Christ is
Damn,
king.
that sucks. Oh, no.
White Anglo-Saxon Catholic
That's
sent
terrible. Sorry to hear that.
White Anglo-Saxon Catholic sent $30. You've established yourself as a legitimate political analyst. Doing panels with a bunch of prostitutes feels beneath you.
Thank you for telling me.
Shakovic sent $21. Should I join local politics if I live in Northern Virginia and have 2 family members in the CIA? Or would I be a liability?
It doesn't matter.
Drive Time 35 sent $50. Hello, what are your thoughts on Dr. Stephen Greer's UFO disclosure movement? Thank you.
Sounds like bullshit. Sounds like complete nonsense, and you sound like an idiot.
Jesus Christ is King sent $20. THNKU4 speaking on Abbott. DX is flooding with Indians. What DX could be just WDFW alone, just all whites? Thoughts on DX?
What Texas could be just with DFW alone, just all... What does that even mean? What does that even mean? It just... You're not even saying anything. Thoughts on Texas? I don't like it. Okay.
We7Y sent $20. When do you think the comb over's going to stop work? Glock
Very
17X
good.
sent $20. How do we kill this growing leftist/progressive plague that is starting to grow in America? These people don't get they exist because we allow them to. What's the best course forward? CK1516 sent $20. Great show as always. Has there ever been a
Never
better time to buy
ends.
oil? Even with a legit ceasefire, the world will... Yappenheimer sent $20.
Investment
Nick,
advice,
I'm struggling
more.
with being Team Clav. How do I explain to people that kissing trannies is bad? Doc Bodie sent
Fake.
$100.
Never happened.
Jonathan Swan of Neonoxios was tripping over himself on Tim Dillon this week anti-distance fence from Epstein in the Iran war, claiming he was only voice of dissent in admin. They're running the play hard lately.
Clearly, yeah. Thank you for the big super
Nick
chat.
Goy sent
Yep.
$20. Frank was the third smartest at the fresh and fit table. Seems like he helped you pull through having to listen to those yammering bitches.
Yep.
Deadass Dom sent $20. Nick at Myron's house. I'm not taking my sneakers off. I am Fuentes O'Toole. Tenrio sent $100. 10 tens from Tenrio.
Thank you for the big super chat, Tenrio, my man, dude. How can one man have so much aura? Dude, I fucking love Tenrio. Honestly, you really come to appreciate these realest niggas ever, like Tenrio and Beardson, that would just never snake you. It just isn't in their heart. And you don't see that until you've lived a life, how much you really appreciate these OGs in your corner. Tyler, I'm not going to name every single one of them, but like some niggas you just never have to worry about, and God bless them, man. God bless the niggas you never have to worry about. Right? Find those people in your life and treat them well. Something I've been learning recently, don't invest in people you like. Invest in people that invest in you. Don't invest in people you like. Invest in people that invest in you. Find the people you never have to worry about, you never have to wonder about, people that are in your corner when there's nothing to gain, when the chips are down. Those are the people you got to treat them like royalty.
Those are the people
we
you
love you,
owe.
Tenrio. You're the GOAT. My man. Hope you're doing well, my friend. You're looking good lately. You look absolutely amazing lately.
Heart of the Wolf sent $20. Love the green blazer. Looks good with that tie and makes your eyes pop. Yes, I'm a Foyd. Lol.
Dude. Well, I'm glad somebody appreciates it. Yeah, my hair's messed up, okay? What do you think, though? What do you think of the combo? What do you think? Are we back?
Silly
Whoops.
bitch.
What do you think? I think it is a good combo, right? I was looking for ties that would work with this suit.
It is a sharp
I think we
combo.
found a
I like
winner. I think we found a winner. That sounds kind of gay, but whatever.
I do like the green. It's very lovely.
I agree. I like the green suit. I like the green. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. Because we usually just do blue and gray. Yeah, I got to figure out what I'm going to do with my haircut. Anyway. Yeah, no, but thanks. Yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving this combo. This is a great combo. This is a great little combination here. I'm glad you appreciate it. The Foyds are lifting me up. It's these jealous moids. These fucking jealous, seething moids trying to bring me down. Making fun of my hair. Attacking me. It's the Foyds that are really care about my well-being and state of mind. They can sense it. They can sense that I'm a sensitive young man. They get it. Yeah, this is great. I got to get more suits like this. The fit's on point. Yeah, very good.
Dank Evans sent $20. Did you see the video of that third worlder exposing himself in front of families on the beach in Italy?
I did.
Locals try to beat his ass and the Foyd steps into his defense. Typical.
It's just disgusting. That guy should have been literally murdered on the spot. Literally murdered on the spot. And I'm not that guy. I'm not like one of these proponents of violence or whatever. Did you see this? There's a African migrant in Italy on the beach. Was it in Italy?
Oh, I showed you guys
literally
that
jacking off naked in front of everybody.
Totally showed you guys that.
On the beach. Not like in some corner, not like in
show
some
you now
slum.
again.
He's on a public beach
With
where there's
toddlers.
families and everybody out on a
Toddlers.
summer day jacking off.
Bro, it was filthy.
People should have fucking beat this guy to death
did
and shot
beat
him
his
in the
ass.
head and mutilated his corpse.
They did beat his ass. They fucked him up with folding chairs and stuff.
And the cops should have let him get away with it. That is so disgusting. I just can't even like if you can't do that,
It is.
okay.
Disgusting.
What are we even willing to defend? Because you think about it, that is literally all anybody can ask for in life. Is like a nice day at the beach. That's as much as you're ever gonna get. Right. Is like a nice day at the beach with your family, right? We work, we toil, we get sick, we grow old, we have to do all these things. The one thing, the one pleasure that anyone can have, young and old, and people that are alone and people that are with other people, black or white, disabled, whatever. The one thing anybody can really ask for is to go to the beach on a nice day and enjoy the sound of the water and the sun in your face and the laughter of the children. That is literally the one thing, that is maybe the most that anyone can ask for. And you got a fucking subhuman jacking off And no one's going to do it. No cops, no soldiers. Like, why do you even pay taxes at that point? They'll throw you in jail if you don't pay taxes. They'll throw you in jail if you don't pay your parking tickets. They'll throw you in jail if you don't pay your tolls on the tollway. But this guy's going to be doing that on the beach, ruining it for everybody. He should literally get his head blown off with a shotgun. I think that would be less offensive to see on a summer day. To see someone get their face exploded with a shotgun for doing that. So yeah, it's just like disgusting. And you see it all the time. That's what these animals do. They're animals. They're animals. That's what they do. You see it all the time. There's a video in Ireland of a guy pulling his pants down and a bunch of Irish people kicked the shit out of him. And the police came and broke it up. It's like, why are you breaking it up? Let him kill the guy.
They're teaching him a lesson.
That should be an instant death penalty. Those are animals. Those are someone that can't keep their clothes on in public is an animal. They should be put down like animals or put in a cage under the ground forever. Like, it's just so, I mean, my blood really, and I'm not calling on people to do that. It's not like an open call for violence or whatever, but a society that can't put that in check is not a society. So
What should I do? Grower percent $20. Do haves I had a friend to live with $500 a month in Palm Beach, but my dad said if I go I don't love him and canceled my plane tickets.
that's just toxic. You need to get away from that. You got to cut the cord. You got to love your parents, but at a certain point you need to, especially as a man, you got to get away from them. And some people are going to say that's not trad, but your parents will suffocate you if you let them. Not all parents. Some parents are the opposite. Some parents kick you out at 18 and say, get a job, or they say pay rent. Other parents, they will make you too conservative. And they will suffocate you. You have to be very careful about that because you only have one life and it's your life and you're an adult and you really just got to go out and see what the world is like, I think. I'm a big proponent of moving out now. I didn't used to be, but now I am. If you can swing it. You know, for some people, it doesn't make sense. If you're going to school, obviously, yeah, you live with your parents and you live at school part-time. If you're getting on your feet, if you are looking for a job or something, maybe it makes sense. But if you're 21 and your parents say you can't leave your hometown and you can't get a better job, then that's a problem.
John Dave Irving sent $4,999. Hi, Nick. Thoughts on how to invest in yourself?
Hey, thank you for the massive super chat. I appreciate it. Great question. Great question. Well, you got to start by getting out of your own way. You got to start by not being a psycho, not being erratic. It starts with maybe predictable behaviors, predictable, stable behaviors, not characterizing yourself as enigmatic to sound romantic about your instability and instead taking accountability. That starts, I think those are some non-specific examples that pertain to nobody at all. I think those are some pretty vague and general, non-specific examples of things that anyone could do that don't pertain to anyone in particular at all. But I appreciate the massive super chat and all the support. Really appreciate it, man. God bless you. We love John Dave Irving. And I love it, man. I love investing in people that invest in me. And I also love to invest in things that are predictable and stable and don't just disappear all the time or confuse me or, hang out with people that are trying to kill
Jackson's
me as well.
Legionary sent $20.
That also.
Hey, Nick, I am in my last year of dental school. I tell my atheist peers that I don't study and just pray, and God has predestined me to pass my exams. I study my ass off. Peak atheist trolling.
I don't know if I buy all that.
Okay, grow I percent $20. Will you stream GTA 6?
Oh, absolutely. I hope I make it to that point. At this point, I'm literally, the only reason I'm staying alive is for that game. Like, just get me across the finish line, get me to the game. So close.
Hey, did anybody know that Rockstar Games come out of Scotland, bitch? Motherfucking Edinburgh, Bro, I had no idea that Rockstar Games was based out of Scotland.
Kirk will never get to play GTA 6.
Shit was so...
That's heartbreaking.
Johnman sent $20. Like, what I'ma do for those 2 years, shit's stressful as fuck, man, but my white ass gonna be big ASF. Let's go, grow Ipers W in the chat.
Okay.
Deport Snigga sent $20. Your pissed
And
eye
the
sucks.
Scots didn't have
Johnman
any
sent
fucking
$100.
brown
Fuck it,
clowns
here's
on
more
their
money king. When I get out, I'ma be on
soccer
top and a better person. Love you, Nick.
Love it. Thank you for the big super chat. Appreciate
Shub
it.
sent $300. Appreciate you joining the VC last night. Made my year.
Man.
Love you. Go
Glad to
Mojo.
hear it, man. Thank you for the big super chat, all the
124
support. Really
people, you gonna
appreciate
jerk
you,
me
buddy.
around like that?
Glad it
Okay.
was enjoyable for you. I'll try to do it more often.
Well, Market sent $20. The West is too far gone, but you already know that. JK, but
Ugh,
not really.
I hate
Mad
that.
respect for standing up and being our voice.
We probably are too far gone.
Cap DN Crunch.
I just hate when people say, but you probably know that.
Cap DN Crunch sent $20.
You don't know
Candace
what
fans
I
on Twitter
know.
have become the nuke tards. Would love for Piers to moderate a debate between her and Andrew Wilson about the assassination.
Yeah, the assassination thing is so crazy that people still buy that. It's just utter nonsense. Exploding microphone. Okay, bro, I guess. I look so cute. Why do I look so cute? I'm just checking out. I gained a few pounds back. I'm back to like 130. I'm getting back a little, but that's only because I was in Miami. It's only because I was in Miami, and I love to eat when I'm in Miami. Love to eat. Oh, I was eating like a king in Miami. That was the only good part. I fucking love that city. It just has this feeling like you're in the Caribbean, like you're in Central America. It's awesome. I go out late at night. They have all these like open late Mexican places. I wear my white jacket. I'm sweating my ass off, but that's part of it. You're like sitting outside. They got a fan blowing, Latin music blasting. You're sweating your balls off. They're bringing you tacos, Diet Coke. And then I get the tres leche cake. That's one of my favorites. I'll get a churro, Cuban sandwich. I love that. I love that city. I love it. I go to South Beach. I go to Brickell. I go everywhere. So I was eating good. I was eating a lot of Mexican. I'm not going to put you on my spots. But, yeah, so I put a little bit of the weight back on. I slipped a little bit. Now I'm getting fat again. All right. I think we got did we get one more here while I was talking? Yeah, one more.
Base Tread Kaftan 15.2 sent $20. Nikiana from Fresh and Fit was so bad. If you have her socials, I'd love you to splooge my good-wearing highlights.
Okay. And that's our last super chat. Okay, that's going to do it for me. Remember to smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment. I'm on the air Monday through Friday. As always, thanks for watching. Thank you to our top super chatters. Big special thank you to John Dave Irving, Truth.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys popping in. Fantastic stream. You know, I loved having you guys on. At least my regulars. Anyway, yeah, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I got my Discord, up and running. Gonna be taking calls this week. Tomorrow, pretty sure tomorrow. We're gonna at least testing it tomorrow. And then, so if you wanna, call in or you have a question, join the Discord. I might try another way too of doing the call-in thing that doesn't use Discord. But yeah, join the Discord. So I just trying to get it together and whatnot. I set everything up today, and yeah, I'm trying to up the game and whatnot. Yeah, so call-ins and the Discord server. Also, just for updates, ideas, questions, whatnot. But yeah, that's it for tonight, fellas. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Tomorrow it should be on at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. God bless. Hope you all have a swell day.